He never was the guy that got to an arena and yay, I'm going to talk about I-95. I'm going to talk about the Barclays Center. I'm going to talk about the Brooklyn Museum. I'm going to talk about Atlantic Ave. That has never in CM Punk's life been a promo. So you're going to expect CM Punk to come back and debut and have a party? You fucking idiot. CM Punk's fucking career is built on drama, you moron. His career is built on this. And the reason why we follow him is because he speaks the truth, you fucking idiot. It's so astronomically stupid for somebody as prestige as Booker T. He's a wrestling Hall of Famer, clearly. But bro, you have never been over as somebody that cuts promos. You have been a guy that is the other guy, the better guy from Harlem Heat. That was a guy that can go in the ring. And obviously people were noticing a black athlete that can go in the ring. You were never over as any of your promos, bro. The only thing that you have ever been known for right now is your stupid ass shucky ducky quack quack shit.
I can't wait for JJ versus Booker T at the next reality wrestling show.
Like, I mean, come on, yo, it's like, yo, you're really, he took the crate challenge and fell like my man did on the stack of crate that he fell right on his back. Like, yo, he said, that was an epic fail of the scissor kick, bro. It's like, come on, yo, you're really gonna sit there, yo? You think CM Punk is gonna sit here and talk about fucking landmarks? You think CM Punk was gonna go out there and talk about the fucking Michael Jordan statue? You thought he was gonna sit there and talk about ProWrestlingTees.com on his first promo back in wrestling?
It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This is Tru Heel Heat.
Melina.
This has been Tru Heel Heat 140.
Yo,
the summer
is laughing.
The summer of returns. It's like, how do you top last week? Well, we got two fantastic guests with us this week, two of our favorites to talk about AEW All Out 2021. We're going to talk about major rebrand changes in NXT. There is a whole bunch of stuff to talk about on this edition of Tru Heel Heat. You are watching Tru Heel Heat 141. Producer, hit the intro. Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for Tru Heel Heat 141. On this edition of Tru Heel Heat, we will be discussing the latest wrestling news, including major rebrand changes for NXT, and potential more roster cuts, Vince McMahon making changes to Monday Night Raw, and the angriest he's ever been backstage. We're going to talk about recap of NWA Empowerrr, NWA 73, Raw, NXT, Dynamite, Impact, SmackDown, Rampage, and New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Grand Slam, another very, very long New Japan show that I tried to watch on like 2 hours sleep. It did not work out well. And we're going to preview New Japan Pro Wrestling Grand Slam Night 2 and the big show, one of the biggest shows of the year, AEW All Out 2021. I am with, once again, the resident Tru Heel alcoholic, Booker T's #1 fan, Top Guy JJ.
Oh yeah, we're on deck, baby. Mana, all of that good stuff is on deck. It is 4:00 somewhere, so clearly it is time for a drink.
It is 4:00 where our esteemed guests are at. First up, we have one of my favorites on wrestling Twitter. He's always making me laugh. He is over on Post Wrestling, the host of the GRAPPL app podcast, and CM Punk's really number one fan, not like JJ and Booker T. Benno is here with us. What's going on, brother?
It's good, man. It's glad to be here. We're doing it big. It's all out weekend, so yeah. Happy to be here as always. I was laughing my head off at that intro segment there, like the Booker T doing the spin kick on the milk crate. It's just awesome. Great rant, well deserved. Absolute fucking idiot.
Thank you.
See, we're already on the same page. 2 minutes into the show, we're on the same page already.
We're vibing already, and of course, it is AEW All Out weekend, and whenever I have an All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view to talk about, I have to get the absolute best of the best, the creme de la creme of wrestling media when it comes to All Elite Wrestling, and there is no one better than Miss Dynamite, Lady Rampage herself, Sting's number one fan, and Chris Jericho's best friend, Stephanie Chase.
Hi.
Country.
Hi. I also enjoyed the Booker T burial. He's a fucking moron. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here all out weekend. We're just one day away. It's been a busy week, but it's very exciting. And it's cool to be on with Benno. Us squeezing into the space here.
Yeah, I'm blocking out Daryl right now. He's showing off his post-wrestling stuff, but he's there. The gang are all still here.
Yes. The whole family is here together. I love that you guys are in 3D together. I've seen you on split screens, but to see the family together, it's a beautiful sight.
Yeah, honestly, the only person that is fitting, that is actually deserving to share any screen time with Steph would be Benno. Because, you know, Steph has to be like my absolute favorite guest, like ever.
Aww.
So, you know, Benno, you know, you're a cool dude, man. So you deserve that spot too.
I appreciate it, man. I was worried I could just hung around and just listen to the thing with while I'm here. Well, why not jump on? I might do the same.
Jump on in.
Steph's hosting a live AEW All Out party, aren't you? So I might just jump on stage then. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you should just jump on stage with me. Be my hype man.
I'm up for that.
And we have a good amount of subscribers from the UK. Please plug where you're going to be on Sunday for your all-out viewing party. Please let the people know right off the top.
Yeah, if you live in London, come down to All Street. You guys will know All Street, but it's like the trendy area in London. We're at the Sports Bar and Grill. I'm going to be hosting. We're going to be playing all different AEW music. So Judas, Cult of Personality. We're going to be doing
Final Countdown,
which will soon be an AEW song.
Spoiler alert.
Soho by Rancid, which will soon be an AEW song, I think. And yeah, we're going to do this be a quiz, and we're going to have then a Q&A with me as well. But there's just going to be a lot of like partying, drinking, interactive audience stuff. I do that for a couple of hours, and then we all sit back, drink even more, and watch All Out. So it's going to be really, really, really fun. It's really cool to watch a pay-per-view in the bar atmosphere. So I can't wait. I've always wanted to host things.
I mean, with all due respect, you're gonna name All That music and not name Jurassic Express. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, that shit gonna be a movie in there when y'all play that.
Yeah, it should be really, really fun. I love wrestling themes going on in a bar and people getting into it, so it should be super good. Yeah.
I wish I was in the UK to experience that
movie scene.
So go over, definitely support Steph if you're in the London area, and of course support this video here. If you're watching right now, drop a like on this video, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified. We've been doing very well with the subscriber count. We're trying to hit 1.6K with our all out week of content. We got an all out watch along hosted by Romeo on Sunday. We got the all out roundtable review on Monday. So there is a whole bunch to enjoy. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified. And we want to hear your thoughts on all the latest wrestling news in the live chat. We're going to try to highlight a bunch of your comments, but to make sure we highlight your comment, a super chat donation is the way to go. We will highlight, talk about your hot takes, talk about what you think about all the latest wrestling news and the all out card. We got got 5 Villains, our boy Brian in the live chat saying, oh my God, reacting to Top Guy JJ's rant on Booker T. We got Steve Monkman saying Top Guy JJ, the official defense lawyer for CM Punk. We got Anthony Manzano joining us live saying hi. We got Carnage Plain saying sup. And we got a question for Benno already off the back. Does he like Brit wrestling yet?
Never
Be
liked
careful.
it. Look, it's coming back a little bit. You know, we've actually got shows again. Steph's on Rebrand on Sunday.
He likes Revolution Pro Wrestling, and if you're also in the London area, I will be at Revolution Pro Wrestling during the day down at the 229, and we have a great card for you.
So Rev Pro's good. Everything else, I don't know. Well, it's a complicated relationship in Brit Res, so you know, maybe one day we'll reconcile.
We have been like on for 10 minutes and we're just alley-ooping each other, me and Steph. You can see the wrestling daily vibes. Like she alley-oops talking about her bar opinions for bar appearance for the All Out viewing party, segues into supporting this video. Then I segued into plugging Rev Pro. See, we're like LeBron and D Wade. That's why Wrestling Daily is up there, folks. We got another question here. I'll give this to Top Guy JJ. Panel, how long do you guys think Jimmy and Jay's brother last in NXT before Vince calls him up to the main roster and puts him in the bloodline?
I think with this new so-called direction, they need to wait on reaction. They need to wait and see how he's reacted to when he's actually in the ring and he's on television. I don't think he's just going to put him on the roster without a reaction. He has to get a reaction before putting him on TV. If he doesn't get nothing, he's not going anywhere.
One of our favorites here, the Negro Buck, Nick Jackson, saying, LOL, damn, we're already burying Booker T again. Love to see it.
Tell me you don't deserve it.
Slamming Sammy Joe saying that Booker T burial was so good. And of course, Nick Jackson also had to shout out Tarzan Boy as well. And Frantic World saying, what's up, Tru Heel Heat, Stephanie, Benno, and the chat. Hello to you, Frantic World. So all of our favorites are here. Like I said, if you want your comment highlighted, super chat donation is greatly appreciated. It supports the channel a lot. And this edition of Tru Heel Heat is brought to you by our friends over at Warrior Wrestling and Powered for TV. And we start off every Tru Heel Heat with our Tru Heel roll call. Shout out a couple of our supporters on social media and the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. Coming in at number 3, our top 3 conversation starters are Gino Bismo, number 2, Jessica V, and number 1, he's in the live chat already, so he is a supporter, the Negro Buck, Nick Jackson. Tru Heels, we got to shout out Colin Hood Garrett, Connor Smith, Professor Chris, aka Easy Attack, Slam and Sammy Joe, who's also in the live chat with us, and he also had a pretty cool comment on AEW All Out 2020 preview. He said, great show, guys, keep being awesome. You, my boy Blue, said on the NWA 73 review, I'm happy for Trevor Murdoch. When I look at him, I see NWA. He looks like he's straight out of the 70s and 80s. I don't know if that's a compliment or insult, but I will take it as a little bit of both. We're going to start things off, ladies and gentlemen, with our top news story, which we're going to segue. We're going to go into AEW and All Out for sure, but we got to start off with major changes going on in the WWE universe as major rebrand changes to WWE NXT, with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard possibly taking more control on the brand. A new report has more details on the report that Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard will be producing WWE NXT when it returns to live events later this month. Fightful Select reported that several members of the NXT talent roster have not yet been informed of the decision and that neither were seen at the recent tapings. That said, talent has been told that Pritchard is visiting the WWE Performance Center this weekend. Not all talent is being required to be there for the visit. In addition, Jamie Noble, who is a top producer for WWE, has recently been around the PC much more often than usual. NXT's big changes reportedly will include changes in production heads, with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard said to be producing the show moving forward. Brian Alvarez reported on the Wrestling Observer Live this week that McMahon and Pritchard will be producing for the show when it returns to live shows on September 14th. We've seen the new logo, the new theme with Wale. According to F4W Online, McMahon and Pritchard will be making the big decisions, including marketing, promotion, and direction, and their booking booking role may only be involved with those top stars. It has been reported since last month that WWE NXT was undergoing a revamp, with Nick Khan confirming an overhaul in an interview. He had noted that the look of the show, the production of the show, and everything's going to change. During this week's episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer confirmed that he heard that the two will not be executive producers of the show, just handle big picture stuff. It was noted that the new logo was from that side, like Kevin Dunn, but they will not be producing every segment of the show. It remains to be seen what this means for the NXT TakeOver event. However, it seems that no one in NXT has really been told much, which confirms a report from Fightful this week that many on the brand were not told. It was said that either way, Triple H definitely lost power, which is a very condemning thing, and it seems like Julie Hart's condemning of him after the Montreal Screwjob is finally paying off. WrestleVotes then reported that confirms that Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, who are rumored to be taking over NXT, will only handle the big picture stuff. According to the report, the day-to-day operations of the brand will not change. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, William Regal, Matt Bloom, and others will still handle that. However, the look of the weekly TV product will have Vince McMahon's stamp on it. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that there was a meeting with the talent and staff about the rumors this week. They were told that the stories of the two directly producing the show were not true. However, while not involved with weekly booking, McMahon will likely have more influence over who is pushed and who is cut than he did before. And according to Fightful, numerous WWE sources effectively denied reports of the NXT production being handled by McMahon and Pritchard. The source stated, "Don't believe everything you hear regarding the rumors of their involvement." Fightful notes that several other sources did confirm Pritchard is scheduled to visit the WWE Performance Center, and according to Fightful, it doesn't appear that many talents within the company have been told much other than what we are hearing here. So I will start with Steph. What are your thoughts on the latest reports concerning the planned changes to...
Welcome to Nickelodeon Playground, everybody.
What are your thoughts on the latest reports concerning the planned changes for NXT, Steph?
Well, it's hard for me to muster up any genuine feelings of concern or anything like that, because I feel like NXT is just dead, and this is just the thing in its place that happens to have the same name, but is a little more colorful. Their new logo is so terrible, but it feels like a great answer to Triple H and his like being a fake metal guy, which I stand by. Triple H is not a real metal guy. He just only knows Motorhead and pretends to really like them. So I think it's quite funny to then the next logo be this really colorful. Like you guys say Nickelodeon, it reminds me of a UK TV show called Art Attack, where a guy would literally just pour like buckets of paint on like a big canvas, and it was always like a splash effect painting that he would do. It's so bad. But yeah, I think NXT now, it's just, it's not what it was. It's going to be something else. It's going to be so hard for, I think, it to do well at all. I think it's going to go back to like really what it was originally, a non-TV product. I don't know how USA Network must feel like looking to, like when you're paying for a product where you had guys like Adam Cole and stuff on it, and now you're getting this like totally unknown guys that might be really green. It just fucking sucks. As for Triple H, I really appreciated you bringing up the Julie Hart thing. It is hilarious. I've been wanting Triple H to get karma for a long time, and it's really hit him so hard recently. It's hit him so bad. I almost feel sorry for him, but then I remember it's Triple H, and he does not deserve sympathy. And it's just quite hilarious what's happened to him, to just be publicly like thrown out and emasculated by his father-in-law. And I don't know how he must feel. And even if they try and spin it like, oh, I'm still here, I'm still doing that, it's like, we all know what's happened. We all know that you were given the chance to like run with this and go head to head with another promotion, and you failed. And I mean, they really set him up to fail, as well. Like they really did. but it's hilarious. But new NXT just sounds bad, really bad. And the Uso brother, I could see him coming up to the main roster in a couple of months because the bloodline is so good at the minute. It wouldn't surprise me if they decide to just keep adding members, like whoever they can find, and then make it really big and eventually shit like everything they do, because it's too good to be WWE.
I need to take a shot to that.
That sounds about what WWE would do. Is overkill. Overkill seems to be their thing. It's not this good.
Members, everyone, yeah, absolutely.
Benno, what's your thoughts on the new NXT? And of course, since since they have an affiliation with Brit Wrestling, how do you think this is going to affect NXT UK?
Can they do NXT UK next? That's what I was going to say. I'd fucking Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard running that garage in Enfield and booking Gallus would make my life. Like, I would love that to happen.
You guys have no idea how shitty Enfield is. How funny.
Do they even know NXT UK exists?
Honestly, Nick Khan must be like, he hasn't noticed that tab on his spreadsheet yet. Because once he does, he's going to notice a load of bums with beards from Scotland that he needs to sack immediately. But that day will come. For now, like, I mean, I'm not an NXT proper guy either. I was years ago. Last few years, I've really not been paying much mind to it. I find it a pretty dull show most weeks.
Yeah.
I wonder how realistically, what are they pulling? 600 to 700,000 people? Even if you strip it away and do NXT the new class, is it really going to do much? Is it really going to do much worse than that though? It's probably not. The only thing I would say is it's a bit of a slap in the face to the fans that do enjoy the NXT style. I mean, they've spent years pushing that the indie quote style of NXT was the future, only for us to find out that it is absolutely not the future. And I think the biggest thing about this story is it's an open goal for AEW. All of those NXT fans, why would you believe in NXT anymore? Why would you believe in WWE anymore? Like, if NXT is going to be the land of the giants and the football players and the Olympians and stuff, and leaves all the indie wrestlers to AEW, fuck it, let them. Let Vince be 20 years out of touch. Let AEW gain even more ground on WWE, and let them get in their own way, because that's what we all wanted anyway. We've already got 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown. Why not another 2 hours of Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard TV on a Wednesday? That's definitely what the world was asking. On a Tuesday, sorry. That's what the world was asking for. Don't even know what night it's on.
Oh, thank you for in the chat, by the way. That's really lovely.
Yes, great comments. Great comments here. We got Rachel Cornell saying hello SB3, hi Top Guy JJ, hello Benno, and a massive hello and much love to my favorite women's media, Steph. I can't wait for AEW. Been watching Powered 4 all day to get me in the mood. We also got over here Nick Jackson.
Okay, because you fucking ruined the 2000s. You held down great people like Jericho. You fucking sucked. I was a fan of yours from back in the day, and I always wanted you to just advance and do better. And little did I know that you making a decision to shag Stephanie would make wrestling completely shit, and we'd still be suffering 20 years later. But it's come back and bit you, so that's why I don't like Triple H.
Yo, do y'all understand why Steph is my favorite person? He legitimately answered this question.
she just gave us our opening for next week's episode of Tru Heel Heat.
Answered the question. It's a meme that she answered it.
On Top Guy JJ, what's your thoughts on RIP NXT and these supposed changes?
Yo,
shout out to Big Tone.
This is the classic case of WWE not taking accountability for their failings. Like they just don't get it. They really don't get it, and they think that when people dunk on NXT every week about how boring and how lack the booking is, they hear their genius. Let's change the logo. like this is complete lack of accountability on the shit show that they've been putting on for the past year. And it's so, this is again on the Booker T level of astronomically stupid. It's like, you cannot make this up. You cannot make them up in the meeting room. They're really like, guys, why is our ratings dropping so bad? Why did we lose a Wednesday Night War to AEW Dynamite? You know what? We got it. It's the black and gold logo. It's the shitty logo. It's that classic logo that failed us. That didn't work. We're going to change it to Nickelodeon World at American Dream Mall in New Jersey. Shout out to that place. That spot is awesome. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to make all the benches colorful. We're going to have blue, purple, green, and red seats everywhere. We're going to have a bashful, beautiful entrance that kind of looks like the Dynamite entrance if you kind of take another look at it. But you know, it's just like the failings. They don't get that they're failing us. So that they think that they're enhancing the product when they're giving us this new colorful shit. They're not understanding that the fans that watch NXT are people like us, the wrestling fans. Not the people that wants to watch not the people that wants to watch booking. They want to watch programming. They want to watch a little bit of story, but a lot of wrestling. That's the NXT audience. And they try to add a lot of story and a piece of wrestling. And NXT has just fell all the way to shit. Like, we can go every week and probably call out one segment on NXT that was like, you know, this is bearable. This is cool. And that was it. That's the entire 2 hours. So NXT is becoming the Monday Night Raw right before our very eyes. And probably when this debut happens, it's probably going to be worse than the worst show in all of wrestling right now.
That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot.
Look who's taking over it. Like, come on, y'all. Come on, guys. Monday Night Raw, we know, is the worst thing in all of professional wrestling right now. And the people that is booking that is taking over NXT, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are we expecting here? Like, what are we really expecting here, guys? Like, what are we expecting? Anything positive out of this? No. Like, nothing good is coming out of this bullshit.
I don't think so. A couple of other additional notes here. We have one talent within WWE stated that some changes are coming to the Capitol Wrestling Center venue. That's why they taped a whole bunch of shows ahead of this September 14th new era of NXT, as it was being taken apart while the area around the ring was also being adjusted. Meanwhile, an additional source pointed out that neither would have the time capacity to add NXT to their ongoing duties, talking about Vince and Bruce Pritchard. And then during Thursday's episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that with the news of more changes coming to the NXT brand, that could mean more releases from the company are also on the way. Meltzer said that he's heard of names that are on the chopping block for a release, and it's mostly wrestlers that have been on the brand for a long time. So with that in mind, I will go around the horn one more time, starting with Steph. Who are you worried may be on the chopping block with the next round of cuts to the NXT roster?
I would say Tommaso Ciampa. I really like Ciampa, but he's been vocally against going to the main roster. I don't think he's a guy that Vince would get at all. I actually think that Ciampa could do well somewhere else, but I don't actually think he'd want to go anywhere else. I could see him end up as an agent somewhere, but I'd worry about Ciampa more than Gargano, because Gargano at least has the silly way storyline that they just continually shove down our throats every week. So at least he's kind of more prominent, but I'd worry about Ciampa the most. And then I'd worry about more guys that we don't really have the names of on the tip of our tongues, because we don't really see them much, but their tenure in actual developmental is long. I would worry about an Aaliyah if she wasn't already getting tried out, but then I'd still worry about her unless she makes it.
Yeah, she might be on the chopping block as well, even with the call up because he hasn't been on Raw or SmackDown yet. Benno, what about you?
I mean, I'm not worried about anyone. I hope they all get sacked. I'm not being horrible. I hope they go somewhere better. Genuinely, I think the older wrestlers, they just put the belt on Samoa Joe. That guy has got to be worried about getting sacked twice in the same year. Roderick Strong, guys like that, the older guys, Tim Thatcher, who's kind of got over it. Our guys like Zach Gibson and James Drake, who've been flown out to the US, Vince McMahon takes one look and doesn't look at it and wants to put a bodybuilder in your position. I think, as we saw this year with the crazy sackings WWE have done, literally nobody is safe. And I think you're daft if you think anybody's place is granted in NXT. It can be anyone.
He looks like a bad Santa Claus.
He does.
Little glasses.
What about you, Top Guy JJ?
Oh man, just for NXT, it kind of worries me that their roster hasn't changed at all in about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on, the NXT coronation of Samoa Joe becoming the first 3-time NXT champion is a clear indication of NXT completely failing to establish anyone else. No one else was ready on the brand to become a champion of that caliber. So what do? They pull Samoa Joe out of the out of the release vault. They bring him back and say, you know what? We ain't got nobody else. We gonna put the title on you because we want to go ruin Karrion Kross's entire career and send him to Monday Night Raw. And this is what we're gonna do with you. We're gonna have you here with no challengers. We're gonna probably give you Pete Dunne that you're not gonna lose to, and then you're probably Adam Cole, the person that he was kind of going back and forth with, is not with the company anymore. Holy shit! Like they do not know what they're doing on that brand at all. So fearful of anybody being cut, Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher, Johnny Gargano, any Ember Moon, because these guys have nothing going on. And then there's going to be another set of mass cuts that, oh my God, I am so shocked about this. You know who else is who's that guy? The guy with the brand.
Oh, Robert Stone brand.
Robert Stone, yeah, he's definitely gone. He's definitely a goner. It's like they don't have anything for these guys, and they got 2 hours of TV. And then here, what they want to go and put Odyssey Jones, and all due respect to these guys, Odyssey Jones and Carmelo Hayes. They just had a roster. They had a whole roster. And now they're just going to influx all of these new guys that nobody knows and thinks it's going to get better. They just don't know what they're doing on that side at all. So I feel for all the veterans.
We're seeing a whole bunch of great comments in the live chat. If you want your comment highlighted or you have a question for anyone on the panel, Steph, Benno, Top Guy JJ, or myself, super chat donation is always appreciated. $1 or more. We will highlight your comment and answer any questions or hot takes that you have on the latest wrestling news. We got to go to what we missed. And of course, there was last night AEW Rampage. I would say one of the better overall episodes of Rampage. Of course, there's been better matches on the show, like last week with the Lucha Bros versus Jurassic Express. We've had the moment of CM Punk's debut, but I said from beginning to end, since like the first episode, this was one of the better episodes. In the main event, Darby Allin defeated Daniel Garcia in a very good back and forth main event matchup with CM Punk on commentary. After the match, Garcia in 2.0 jumped Darby Allin and Sting with Punk coming down to ringside to stop the attack, but Darby didn't need his help. He hit a crazy suicide dive on 2.0, and we ended the night with a stare down between Punk and Darby. We also saw Malachi Black beat Lee Johnson in a wonderful finish with him giving a steel chair to Lee Johnson and saying you can either win or get revenge, and then knocking him the fuck out with a black mass and winning. Dustin Rhodes came down to make the save after the match to set up Black versus Rhodes on Dynamite. Miro and Eddie Kingston had a delightful promo exchange with Eddie Kingston saying one of the best lines I've heard all year: Redeemer, redeem these nuts.
That I saw. That was
I need
fire.
a t-shirt. I need a t-shirt ASAP.
Yes.
And he made me and Top Guy JJ's New York hearts grow 2 times bigger with the DMX jersey as well.
Yes.
Talked about his God must think that Miro is a sinner because he's here to get revenge, and his God must be dumb because he's told him what his Achilles heel is. Great atheist promo from Eddie Kingston, and Miro as always was great, but Eddie laid him out with a DDT to stand tall, and Chris Statlander had an impressive showcase against Rebel and Jamie Hayter in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Steph, what was your thoughts on this episode of Dynamite, and what stood out the most to you?
So I thought it was a really, really good edition of the show. I feel like the Malachi Black Lee Johnson match, I think, went a little too long, just because Lee Johnson, I don't think, has been built up enough for us to believe him going that long with Malachi Black, and it definitely felt like they just had to go through a break when they were, throughout the break. which though I can't knock them for putting it on first, given that it was just a 3-match show, and I don't think you could have started with the women's match, so I guess I had to put it on there. But I think that we could tell from the reaction Lee Johnson got when he came to save Brock Anderson that people just aren't like familiar or invested in him enough. I thought the ending though was really, really, really good. Dustin coming out, I feel like Dustin maybe could have come out before, like we could have skipped the Lee Johnson step and then had Dustin just because there's like not enough heat there, but really good ending for sure. And the women's match was nothing, like it was, you know, just kind of a joke match going on there. I felt super sorry for Rebel though, with them leaving her in Jamie leaving her in the ring like that. But my absolute highlight of the entire night, it wasn't even Eddie Kingston talking about his nuts, which I did really love, was Chris Jericho joining CM Punk on commentary. Was all my dreams coming true. Me and Benno spent all day debating whether or not this would happen. Benno was adamant that Jericho would not be on commentary. I was adamant that he would be in commentary, even though he had a gig to play that night. I was, no, he's going to be here. He's going to sit next to CM Punk. When it happened, I was delighted. I really enjoyed them on commentary together. Jericho asked him so many questions. I loved it that it literally turned into a 2-man booth with Jericho.
It did.
Questions. That made my heart so happy. And then from that segment, like I also got to see Sting. So literally like 3 of my top 5 wrestlers were like in like the vicinity there, like Jericho, Punk, and Sting. So I love that so much. The best part of the whole night though was the bit we were talking about earlier when Darby was getting beaten up and Punk was like, Sting's got this, right?
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that clip.
That was a great line. That was a great line.
Right? He's lying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Sting probably, you know, did have it, but I mean, like, Sting's got it going on, but I'm not sure he can fend off like 3 men in their 20s, though he is powerful. But yeah, I thought it was just a great Rampage. I loved the ending. I loved getting Punk there on commentary. I loved him being near Jericho. I love this storyline of, now we were just talking about NXT, people not being utilized in NXT, people just getting fired for no reason. And look at what's happened to 2.0. Oh my God.
Yo, he don't miss, yo. He don't miss. He don't miss.
But yeah, I saw somebody, I think it was in the chat, say that NXT is the best developmental for AEW. And my God, aren't 2.0 like the example of this? Like these guys they've been taken on by AEW, and instead of being like, hey, you're going to have like 10 matches on Dark and Elevation and you know, no one's going to know who you are. And they're like, why don't you just get in the ring with Punk, CM Punk, and Sting and Darby Allin? So it's pretty cool, I think, that with this Punk, and Darby feud, there's no like venom in it or anything like that. So it's great to have these like these just 3 like annoying young guys just trying to like, you know, fuck up the sportsmanship by like getting involved, and then you get Sting having to be that dad that comes out of the house and he sees like the neighborhood bad kids messing with his kid, and he comes out and he's like, get off my son's bike, get off his skateboard, that's not right, you know, and like shoos them away. And then Punk, he's like the neighbor across the road that's got no kids, and he's looking at his window turning to his wife being like, Steve across the road in number 22, he's all right. He doesn't need help.
He's got it, right? He's got this, right?
So I just loved it. I loved that Rampage so much. And yeah, at the end of me, super, super happy.
There was a lot to like in that final segment and the main event angle. We have a question here, and then I'll get Benno's thoughts on Rampage. Slamming Sammy Joe with the $2 super chat donation, saying, could everyone name a NXT talent you want in AEW? Let's start with Benno first.
I will say,
let's get the roster up.
Just to remind myself, I would say, honestly, Isaiah Swerve Scott, like when he was on the indies, like Shane Strickland would have been a perfect fit for AEW. Like I thought from the start, he could have been like a top guy for AEW, and I think he's had an okay career in NXT so far, but I don't think he made a great decision. So him, I'd also like to see Samoa Joe, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, he answered that phone call from Triple H way too soon. Walter is up there, producer. Yes. Steph, what about you?
Now they're going to change his name and put him on Raw and put him in a Nazi outfit or something like that. It's coming. You don't have to worry about Walter.
This memes. The memes are great with the commentary here. Oh, Steph, what about you? NXT talent you would want in AEW?
On the women's side, I'd like Io Shirai. Super talented. Can't see her ever getting anywhere main roster. And I would like Drake and Gibson. They're a really good tag team. I think a lot of they do these just really good promos that are so like UK language local, but Americans find them funny, and they get away with this great like Liverpool straight talking, though they're not really from Liverpool. But
thank you.
I think that in AEW they'd be allowed to like thrive like that, because I don't think that's going to be a main roster thing either, where they're allowed to come out with some of the stuff they do.
That is a fair criticism there. Top guy JJ.
Steph, you took my pick. I swear to God, I was like that. I was thinking her all the way. Like that was the most obvious one, because she goddamn, she needs a fucking revitalization in the worst way. But if you're gonna change the game on me, though, there's a talent that I would want to see in NXT. Give me MSK in AEW, because the type of matches that they will put on with that stacked division, because MSK is bored as fuck right now. So give me that group right there, even though I don't see it happening anytime soon. But maybe somebody, probably in reality, get between MSK, probably Santos Escobar. He's another one. Another one. Because I think that he's gonna fall under the mud really soon. A lot of the veterans, I kind of don't want to see a lot of the veterans in NXT over there at this point. Like the upper card doesn't really appease to me for AEW status, but give me that killer mid card group right there.
Yeah, I mean, MSK was the first one that came to mind for me. They're another one that kind of signed the contract a little too soon. But one person that I feel like they just haven't seemed to connect with because they thought he was a babyface for too long in NXT, Johnny Gargano, because AEW would just let him be a babyface because that's his best role. Like NXT is so confused. They're like, is he a top heel? Is he a babyface? I don't know week to week what the fuck he is. And I feel like AEW would allow him to just be Johnny Gargano. So that's who I would, that's the first person that comes to mind.
Wait,
that was an excellent promo, I will say, by Io Shirai this week. We got Certified Hustler to answer your question. How do you donate? There is a tab there with a $sign where you've been making your comments. You're always very active in the live chat, and we appreciate that. You just click on that dollar and you can give us a super chat donation. Is always appreciated, and we will definitely highlight your comment here. But let's get Benno's thoughts on Rampage last night and what stood out the most for you.
Yeah, overall good show. Love the Punk Derby stuff. Just in general, I think it flew by as an hour. I think last week they really got the balance wrong. I think Dynamite was weak and Rampage had the best match of the week, but then the rest of Rampage was weak as well. You want to see them get that dynamic right of having an extra hour. And I think these pay-per-view weeks are ones where it really does work, having that extra hour and just that extra hour of hard sell, to dot a few I's and cross a few T's as far as build goes. And I think that really worked for Rampage this week. I think Punk and Darby, was a match that hasn't, it doesn't need heat per se, but, it needed a little bit more intrigue and a little bit more juice. And I felt like this week gave it that. Like Steph said, the Aleister Black match was good. I would have chopped off 6 minutes of it, to be honest. I would have just had 2 minutes. So I would have had the finish. I don't think we needed anything else. I think it definitely ran long. A couple of the matches I thought ran long. But all in all, a good show. Crazy that it's turned into the Daniel Garcia and 2.0 show at this point. To be honest, it's the Daniel Garcia weekend. He's on every indie show this weekend too. So that's nice to see. All in all, yeah, just an easy show to watch. And if Rampage is like this every week, I'll be happy.
Benno, love you, but Alistair Black is dead.
Wow. I don't like him. I'll be honest. Like I think AEW have gotten him right, but I've never like he's don't get me wrong. Oh, sorry. Right, yeah.
So it's Malachi Black, sir.
You just didn't call him Tommy End or Tommy Bellend.
There you go. Matthew McCoskey saying Malachi versus Dustin should have been on the buy-in. I don't agree with that. I feel like this was a better showcase where he would have had a lot of time. He had a lot of time with Lee Johnson. They set up a match for Dynamite, which was missing a match. They needed like a main match for Dynamite to hype. And although Dustin does not have the most credibility, he can cut one hell of a promo, and he did that last night to hype up their match for Wednesday. Top Guy JJ, any thoughts or comments on Rampage last night?
I did love to see the dynamic of Chris Jericho and CM Punk sharing that podium together like that. That these things that you never thought that you would see ever again. Like it is really cool, and also 2.0 has been on my television screen like every week on Wednesdays and Fridays, as these guys have all pointed out. Wonder where they're getting the ideas of plugging new talent. Wow, they're checking their fucking roster. Oh my God, they have one and they look at it. Like, it's not a copy and paste show.
Indeed. But also last night there was a WWE show. I'm sorry, we also have to bring that up. SmackDown had a really good main event though, with Roman Reigns defeating Finn Balor to retain the Universal Championship. And after the match, we got a tease of the Demon returning. Earlier in the night, Paul Heyman informed Roman Reigns that Brock Lesnar would return next week at Madison Square Garden in New York City for Super SmackDown. Cesaro beat Seth Rollins via disqualification when Rollins attacked Cesaro with the steel chair, and then he looked for the concerto to set up Edge coming out for the save, and we get Edge versus Seth Rollins 2 at MSG next week. So big time matchups for the MSG show next week. They're also going to do a Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair contract signing for Extreme Rules. Top Guy JJ, what was your thoughts and highlight of SmackDown last night?
The main event. I mean, the main event, like, this match was leaps and fucking bounds better than their match that they had a couple of years ago. This match was fucking awesome. Like, for a television match, for just a match in general, this match was great. And I love the one, I'll give them credit where credit is due. Like, they did a great job at protecting Finn Balor. Like, they did a great job here because obviously he went into the match and he got his ass whooped. So he already went into this match shorthanded, and he still damn near beat our tribal chief. And he looks really good for the outcome of this match. Like, he got put out. He got put out. He didn't tap out. He didn't get pinned. He got put out. Like, basically, the night overwhelmed him, and he couldn't take anymore. So I love the outcome of the match. And hopefully it's not something that Finn Balor, typically WWE style, just fades off into, like, Cesaro role. But I just hope that he is somebody that maintains a spot, because they've been doing a good job since he's been back with Finn Balor. I'm not even going to hold you. They've been doing a pretty decent job with him.
We got a comment here from Jason Michael Campbell saying, really good main event. No, thank you. We all knew he was going to lose just for Roman to destroy him at the end, because all he did was piss him off. What do you, I heard the laughter, Steph. What do you think about Finn Balor bringing back the Demon to verse Roman Reigns?
Oh my God. Well,
please.
A long history with Finn Balor. It's been a roller coaster fandom that started when he was Prince Devitt in New Japan, that got me into New Japan. He was great. He's so good, especially his all the body painting that he would do in the characters. And then he signed with WWE, and I was a bit like, well, I would really love him to be like AJ and debut on the main roster, because he's such a great name. And then he didn't do that. And then they changed his name to Finn Balor, which I still think is a fucking terrible name, because Prince Devitt was a cool name. And then I've just generally been really disappointed by, first, his career, and then secondly, just him in general has disappointed me. But to hear that he could be bringing back the Demon, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, he has said multiple times how this gimmick basically like got out of hand. They took the fact that he would paint himself up as different comic book characters in Japan, and it got over, and they presented it in the worst possible way in WWE, where for no reason he became a demon. Like, they didn't even backstory this properly or anything. It was just all of a sudden he puts on like silly makeup and a headdress, and that does what to him? Like, not that it ever really worked, him putting on this outfit anyway. It never really worked for him. And then like he said how much he didn't enjoy it and how he like lost himself, and then he took all that time off, and then he comes back in NXT and said in multiple interviews that he would not do the demon again. I even interviewed him not so long ago where I tried to ask him a question about the way Karrion Kross is presented with all this the spooky stuff, and him and his presentation as the demon, and like what he just kind of thinks about these presentation stuff. He basically ignored my question and just answered with, "I'm not being the demon again." And I thought, oh, cool, Bob, but that's not what I asked you. So to hear that he's been in to being the demon again because he's now back on main roster, which I bet he didn't want to do either. It's like he's just a guy that should never have gone to WWE. Obviously, we didn't have the foresight to know how the world would change, but if he starts doing the demon shit again, I mean, I'd think things are more over for him than I thought they were. Like, I didn't even like when he came out and this whole thing with Roman, like, as much as people said, well, at least he got his match with Roman, he looked fucking stupid when John Cena just stole the match from him anyway. I don't think you can come back from that. Like, I hate people being made to look stupid. He was made to look like nothing compared to John Cena, and why they ever put that in as like a tease before the Cena thing, I don't know. It's not as if it was a great story or anything. It was just like, let's fuck with Finn again.
It was like, let's waste a couple of weeks while John Cena does dark matches on SmackDown and Raw.
Dude, if they do the demon shit again, I retract everything I said about protecting them. I can't. I wouldn't be able to. No, there's no way to tolerate that. No way to tolerate that if they bring him back as a demon, because the demon should have been dead when that demon lost to Samoa Joe. That should have just been dead and gone. That should have just been dead.
The demon is undefeated on the main roster. I will say that.
Yeah.
I'm just stating facts. I'm just providing facts. That's what I'm here for.
Did the demon have like a match against like Bobby Lashley when he was like just coming back in like Baron Corbin or some shit?
But
yeah,
like,
he beat them both.
The demon, though, he might be undefeated, but in like meaningless ways, because every time you've got like a big match like with Brock, where you would think that if you had something where like putting on some makeup and stuff made you like superhuman, you think you'd pull it out at certain times.
You would think you do Brock Lesnar.
Like,
yeah, just end that demon shit. It's no.
Terrible.
It wasn't a good match. Demons get eaten by beasts. That was his theory. That was his logic there.
So I remember that whole he's gonna challenge him, the man Finn Balor. That was fucking god awful. But I mean,
to each his own. We also had a big New Japan Pro Wrestling show this morning. Hiroshi Takahashi defeated Kota Ibushi in the main event of Wrestle Grand Slam in the MetLife Dome to retain the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Jeff Cobb pulled out the biggest win in his New Japan run to date, beating Kazuchika Okada.
Yes. Yeah.
It never misses. For some reason, New Japan Pro Wrestling decided to give 28 fucking minutes to Tori Yano defeating Chase Owens in an I Quit match to win back the King of Pro Wrestling 2021 provisional title. You also had Sho defeat Yo by referee stoppage and officially join the Bullet Club with its new subgroup House of Torture with Evil, Dick Togo, and Yujiro Takahashi. To explain this to you, Benno and Steph, we got copyright strikes from New Japan Pro Wrestling for using their fair use photos from their website. So now we have to use stick figures for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So
sounds like
great work by a producer.
Yeah,
New Japan in 2021. What do you think about Sho?
Yo.
What do you think about Sho joining the Bullet Club, Benno?
I mean, if this was 6 years ago, maybe that'd be a cool thing to do. But like, I assumed one of Show or Yo would end up joining Osprey's faction, so that is a surprise to me. You're breaking news to me. We unbelievably didn't make time this morning to watch a half-an-hour Toriano Chase Owens match. Like, I'm looking at these results. How was that 28 minutes and Kota Ibushi Hiroshi Tanahashi was 17? Like,
I have no clue. Maybe they were like, Kota Ibushi just came back from COVID. Let's ease him back in. But give 28 fucking minutes to a Yano versus Chase Owens match. That is by far the biggest sign that they are trying to stretch these shows too long when you give almost a half an hour to a Toru Yano match.
Yeah, this should be a big weekend for New Japan. They're running dome shows, and do any of us really care? Like, I've been accused before of being, biased towards AEW, but before this, I was biased towards New Japan. You know why? Because it was good for a very long time, and there's nothing about these shows that appeals to me. I mean, yes, Tanahashi Ibushi, I'll probably pick and choose to watch that. The show tomorrow, I'll pick and choose the Hiromu match, but other than that, these results don't excite me. And a new Bullet Club signing and a new Bullet Club subgroup. Like, how are they still selling those t-shirts? How is that still a thing?
Well, they don't have the record anymore for the highest selling shirt in PWTs, so they had to create a whole new subgroup to sell some shirts. So House of Torture, I guess that's what the fans should be called for watching Evil main event matches. So you'll get one tomorrow You get one tomorrow with Shingo Takagi, which we'll get to shortly. AEW Dynamite, we also mentioned, they did 1.5 million viewers this week. The Elite defeated Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express in a spectacular 8-man tag main event. And then they beat down Christian Cage, Rey Fenix, Penta El Zero, Miro inside the steel cage in a brilliant go-home angle. Probably one of the best go-home angles that I've seen from AEW heading into All Out this weekend. CM Punk was jumped by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, which led to Darby Allin and Sting making the save. This led to CM Punk hitting the first GTS in AEW. And to double down on what Steph said earlier, 2.0 went from jobbing out to everybody and their mama to Jeff Parker taking the first GTS in CM Punk's AEW career. That's an upgrade, folks.
That's his honor. That's a fucking honor.
While Sting hit the Scorpion Death drop on Matt Lee, Darby hit the Coffin drop on Garcia. Santana and Ortiz defeated FTR in an excellent opener. Tay Conti beat Penelope Ford and was then jumped by Ford and Bunny, leading to Anna Jay, number 99 of the Dark Order, making her return from injury. And we also got two superb promos from MJF and Chris Jericho to hype up the final fight at All Out, as well as a great video package from and promos from Miro and Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston saying that he's going to hold Miro's hand and through hell, and maybe if he's good, he will go to his God's heaven. And Miro responding with saying that he never stays down. The only time he stays down is for his hot wife in the hotel room. Great lines. Top Guy JJ, what was your highlight from Dynamite this week?
Honestly, the end. Like the end. You don't get endings like that very often. And as much as I hate Kenny's new look, he did this on purpose. Like he's such, the whole Elite has become such trolls. It has just been a thing of fucking beauty. And this beat down on every single challenger, you don't see this very often. You don't see this entire group of Christian Cage, the Lucha Bros get ass whoopings like this, and then really firmly believe like, oh, these guys are all going to retain on Sunday, and these are still both coin flips, except probably one match. One match is probably not a coin flip, but I love the ending to this show. The ending to the show was straight phenomenal. You don't get to see endings like that too often. I love solid endings. So everything in between for AEW was really great. Anna Jay's comeback was really nice. The fucking opening match between Proud and Powerful and FTR, love it. Like I could see those two teams just go at it constantly. That was a thing of fucking beauty to watch. AEW, and the fact that anybody has said that AEW was a weak go home show. You clearly was obviously doing stuff on your laptop or stuff on your phone.
I haven't heard anybody say that, to be fair.
I'm glad you haven't, because if anybody said anything like that, you wasn't watching the show. because this was awesome. Like, this was an awesome go home show. The crowd to me was a little dry, like at points though. Like, this is, I'm not used to AEW crowds being like, I'm just nitpicking here, but AEW crowds are usually always on fire, and this was a little lukewarm at some. And so like the obvious people came out.
Steph, what was your highlight from AEW Dynamite this week?
I thought the ending was really epic. It just kept going and going and going. Like, it was never ending, but it was a really good way to show off the cage and kind of get like the reason behind that they have the cage off there. And considering like this match has had no build because it's a tournament victory match, I think they did a pretty good job with limited time there. Great to see the Queen Slayer come back. I think she's so cool, and I can't wait to see her and Ty Conte team again. The CM Punk bit was really great too. I thought both Jericho and MJF did really good promos, especially Jericho, to make people buy into this, that his career could be over. All around, really, really good Dynamite. I think as far as the crowd, they were a little muted. These Chicago folks they don't know how lucky they are to have this many AEW shows at once. I think that the point they seemed down the most was during Hobbs and Brian Cage. And I think that's kind of just the fault of like this Team Taz storyline between Cage and first Starks and then Hobbs. It has just kind of gone on forever, but it's gone on forever in the background. It's always like an afterthought segment of like, oh yes, and Team Taz, it continues, you know. But I thought those two guys did a really good job of like bringing the crowd back for this, as much as I don't think there's that much investment, because really out of these two guys, Hobbs would be the one I'd have as a babyface rather than Brian Cage. I just can't see people like having a babyface reaction to Brian Cage, whereas I think Hobbs could definitely pull people in, but Cage as a babyface is a choice. But at least Hook was out there, so that's good.
Mix it up a little bit. We got a super chat donation from Nick Jackson saying, I could watch FTR and Proud and Powerful fight forever. Benno, what was your thoughts on this tag team match? And do you think we're going to get the blow off at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City?
Yeah, this felt like a match where I think things were left on the table. Like it felt like it wasn't the, FTR Proud and Powerful match. I think we're going to get that later at some point. I actually wish this match was on last week's show. I felt that about a lot of the stuff on this week's show. It was like, oh man, that first show with CM Punk on Dynamite, surely you wanted those new fans to see a match like that, to see, the rest of the segments on the show with bigger stars than we got last week. I think overall this week was a huge upgrade on last week's show. And yeah, I love that tag match. Definitely got to share the love for the main event. And then I do agree with JJ. I think the crowds were very hot and cold, and I do think that hurt the main event segment. Partly it also got hurt though by the fact that nobody cut Kenny's mic off, because he kind of, like Steph said, he went a bit long, and it felt like the commentators were trying to go home. Like our time, it was 3:01 a.m. and we were looking at it like, I'm surely the show needs to end.
Get him back up! Get him back up!
I might be in the minority. I loved Kenny on the mic. He plays the perfect cartoon 80s villain, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. B-level villain, maybe.
It's so over the top.
He's so over the top, and he's coming out there with that hair. Like, this is why if you want to dye your hair black, like, you should never pick the darkest black color. Like, you always need to go a bit down, because it always comes out darker than on the box. And he hadn't even rinsed it out properly. Like, he hadn't even rinsed that. He was just out there with it dripping off his head.
So you saw the highlights of purple in there.
And we got a run-in from one of our good brothers, Nate Milton from Post Wrestling, saying, y'all sleeping on that long-term booking with the Nightmare Family and the Shoguns. QT Click, stand up. Marshall Gang, all day. Family, that young old man finna shock the world on Sunday. Top guy JJ, Nate is bigging you up. This is the match you're looking forward to the most, right?
7-Star Classic coming up on Sunday. This is why you buy pay-per-views. You buy pay-per-views to see Paul White and QT Marshall tear the house down. Fuck a come. Like, we ain't here for CM Punk's comeback. We ain't here for the title match between Kenny. We are here for Paul White. No more BS and QT Marshall. 7-star classic coming to you tomorrow.
7
Steph, you
second.
better be up to see that live.
7-second classic.
7-second classic. I like that better. I like that better.
Yo, we can't dunk on that match more than it already has dunked on itself.
No. There's no possible way.
Yeah,
So we should
that match already has done all its self-commentary already for the dunking.
We should just move on to the pay-per-views that were last weekend from NWH. They had 73rd anniversary with Trevor Murdoch defeating Nick Aldis to end Nick Aldis' 1,043-day reign as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Trevor Murdoch with a great moment, Ric Flair being there. Speaking of Ric Flair, he cut a tremendous promo, bigging up Shawn Michaels, bigging up Triple H, bigging up Vince McMahon, bigging up Charlotte, bigging up his wife, bigging up everybody between this side and the sun, it seemed like.
Everybody but who's in NWA.
Pretty much. Camille beat Chelsea Green to retain the NWA Women's World title. And as I've said on a couple of different shows, me and my wife, we love each other very much. But I wish she loved me as much as second-tier promotions love Chelsea Green, because Chelsea Green is on all the second-tier promotions. Lala Rebellion defeated Aaron Stevens and Kratos to win the NWA World Tag Team titles. Mickie James beat Kylie Ray, and Deonna Purrazzo jumped Mickie following the match to continue their feud. Before that show on Saturday, in my opinion, the better of the two pay-per-views from NWA, you had NWA Empowerrr. Chelsea Green once again getting that love from a second-tier promotion, winning the first ever Women's Invitational Cup to get a shot at the NWA Women's World title. Camille defeated Layla Hirsch to retain the NWA Women's World Championship in a tremendous bout. Legit, Layla definitely stood out in my opinion. Deonna Purrazzo beat Melina to retain the Impact Knockouts Championship. The Hex defeated Red Velvet and Kylie King to win the NWA Women's Tag Team Titles Tournament. And Awesome Kong retired from professional wrestling in an incredible moment with Gail Kim. And really, I've said it on a couple of different places, Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, if you don't know, now you should know, one of the greatest women's feuds in professional wrestling history. Steph, as the woman representative on this podcast, what was your thoughts on Empowerrr, and how did it stack up to WWE's version of an all-women's pay-per-view, Evolution, 3 years ago?
I thought it was a really great show. It was wonderful, like the opportunities they gave to people, the inclusion. As far as how it stood out compared to WWE Evolution, it felt genuine is the main way that it stood out. Mickie cut an amazing promo, and she put this whole thing together, and you could tell it wasn't corporate feminism or Stephanie McMahon's fake feminism, her girl boss feminism. It was Mickie James actually wanting to do something to represent for the women and showcase how good women's wrestling is and how much demand there is for it. So I think she did a really, really great job. It was cool to see her showcase all different people, from like your younger stars like Red Velvet being on there, and then you've got people like Deonna, who is what a story Deonna is, considering like how she was treated by WWE and the moment she's having now. And then you've got someone like Melina, that I really loved Melina when I was growing up, so it's nice to see her like get a spot there. Then you have the great bit between Awesome Kong and Gail Kim, who are just two like trailblazers who, before WWE branded the women's evolution, these two were just going out and having good fucking matches and a good storyline and making people take notice of women's wrestling in a promotion that was in a lower tier than WWE. So it's even funnier if you think about WWE suddenly respecting women's wrestling like years and years, well, decades too late initially, but like far removed from Gail Kim and Awesome Kong going out there and doing it without having to like hit you over the head and tell you that they're doing it. So it was a really, really great show. Camille and Layla Hirsch stood out a lot. Their size difference is incredible, but they work together so well. And they're so like they're new to this too. These are not veterans, but you've seen, guys with as big a size difference as these two that aren't veterans just not be able to work it, and they did a really tremendous job. And Camille is someone the thing I feel sorry with NWA for is the people that they actually have. You're always wanting to take them away from NWA because you do want to see them move on to bigger things, and Camille is definitely one of those people. But great pay-per-view. Genuine. The reaction online was wonderful too. It just felt like people were really invested in this. They wanted to make it work. People love Nikki so much, and they love her for the right reasons, and they see how she's been treated. And it's great that instead of being like feeling sorry for herself or anything like that, she just comes out to prove that not only like she's worth more, but women in general are worth more. And she put all these different women on the card just to really showcase them. It was really, really great. Chelsea Green is on every show. So of
everywhere.
Course, Green had to be booked, of course. But other than that, it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm so glad that she did it. And I'm glad that it got the reaction that it did.
Yes, it was a beautiful thing to see so much love for NWA over the 2 nights. Benno, what was your thoughts on Ric Flair's first real promo since leaving WWE?
Oh, I loved it. I like, you mentioned before NWA, and Steph said there, NWA's problem is, that first season that we all enjoyed, they lost they lost Ricky Starks, they lost Eddie Kingston, all of that talent that they had, and they've kind of been replaced by. There are some rotten wrestlers on these shows, but what NWA can do well is
Kyrus. Continue.
Top of the list, both as a human being and a wrestler, yes. But what NWA can do well is presentation. Presenting a show at the Chase, throwing the big NWA letters up on the curtain on the way out. It all looked great. And the thing that underlined it and made it perfect was Ric Flair being there. If you were Billy Corgan and you find out that Ric Flair's WWE deal is over and you've got that show coming up at the Chase, you give him whatever he wants. And I think that's what happened. And he came out and he made the show feel legitimate. Like you mentioned, sucking up to Randy Orton and Shawn and Trips and whatever, that wasn't for me. But the stuff where he was talking about being what it meant to be NWA champion and getting paid off like $6,000 and then, $100 tip here, $200 to the barman. And then by the time he gets on the plane, he's got like $500 left. Like that's the Ric Flair you want. And that's the Ric Flair we got. Like it was absolutely awesome. And I think the big thing was he added weight to the main event. Like, I'm not a Trevor Murdoch guy. I don't think anyone really is. But, like, what they did with Trevor Murdoch on this night was, like, nothing short of a miracle. Like, using the Harley Race story with Nick Aldis to turn him into this, hometown babyface who everybody wants to see succeed. Nick Aldis is, like, what a worker. Like, that guy is not a great world champion. But he makes you believe he's a great world champion. So maybe he's a great world champion. It's a weird thing, and he's done so well with not much material and not many great matches. But, like, he put in a shift in this match, jumping Trevor Murdoch before the bell and getting heat and getting the crowd behind Trevor Murdoch. And Trevor Murdoch's big crowning moment at the end of the show was fantastic and emotional, getting his family out there. But, again, the thing that made it was getting Ric Flair out there to co-sign on him and shake his hand and hold his hand up with the belt. That's the photo op if you're the NWA. Yeah. More of this, less of Tyrus, basically, going forward as well. I know you can't do this every show, but this was as good as NWA has been in about 2 years.
I totally agree with everything Steph and Benno said. This was well worth the price of admission and worth checking out if you haven't already. NWA 73 as well as NWA Empowerrr. We also did a full roundtable review on both shows. Stat King broke down NWA 73, so check those out. The last couple of shows that we missed was Impact on Access. Ace Austin defeated Tommy Dreamer. We had Josh Alexander defeat Jake Chris, making his return to Impact Wrestling to retain the Impact X Division Championship. And then he was challenged by Chris Sabin for Victory Road. Rich Swann looked for revenge on the Good Brothers after they took out Willie Mack and set up a bunkhouse brawl between Swann and Carl Anderson for next week. I am sure the Twitterverse is rooting for Rich Swann because Carl Anderson did not make any friends this week. And in NXT, you had Tommaso I mean, I'm okay with him, but I'm just talking about the rest of Twitter. Tommaso Ciampa defeated Rich Holland in the main event. LA Knight defeated Johnny Gargano after a distraction from Index. Kyle O'Reilly beat Duke Hudson, and Roderick Strong beat Jaro Ikemen. And NXT 717,000 viewers this week. Over on Raw, you had Damian Priest defeat Drew McIntyre and Sheamus in an awesome triple threat, with Priest pinning McIntyre in his biggest win yet. RK Bro beat MVP and Bobby Lashley to retain the Raw Tag Team titles. And in an interesting matchup, Nia Jax defeated Charlotte Flair in a match that totally went A-wire, and with shoot fighting and miscommunication. And yeah, I feared for Charlotte Flair's life at one point. This was after Nia Jax almost decapitated Rhea Ripley earlier in the night with a clothesline where Rhea Ripley's head hit the top rope. Top Guy JJ, what did you think about the shoot fight between Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair?
Who pissed Nia off? I think you know what? Props to Nia, because she's probably the only one that's expressing true feelings about the show that she's on. Like, this is probably a culmination of the venom that she is sustaining from being on the worst show in wrestling, and it obviously just boiled over. And poor Charlotte, I'm just glad Charlotte made it out of this match okay, because any serious hit that she would have taken from Nia would have just like fucking decapitated her. So I'm glad Charlotte made out of this match, and the pin, like, this wasn't a match. This was not a match at all. I'm just glad Charlotte made it out of this match okay. And I hope somebody talks to Nia and calms her down, because you know what? If they actually turn this Nia into a story, this actually might turn into something, because they need some seriousness on that show, because that show, we're not going to go into it, but they probably needed this shit. They probably needed this fuckery to happen to get some eyeballs on this nonsense.
So, yes, we got to move on to our other news notes. You had WWE news. Matt Riddle recently spoke with Bleacher Report and took shots at Roman Reigns following his move the needle comments about CM Punk, saying that Reigns doesn't do so either, and suggested he is where he is because he's related to The Rock. Matt Riddle said, exactly, no disrespect to Roman, he seems like a swell fella, but at the same time, it's like when people say they're a good parent, you know what? If you were a good parent, your kids would be telling you you're a good parent. When he's saying, acknowledge me or I move the needle, no, you don't. You're related to The Rock. Shut up. Like, I am not impressed. I can beat you up in a real fight. So shut your mouth. You're not moving needles. I'm the real stallion. RK Bro is moving the merch. We're moving the needle, and that's it. I don't want to say too much. I'm not trying to get in trouble. You already did. And hey, hats off to him. He's amazing at what he does. I do like what he does, but at the same time, it's like, get off your high horse. You're in that spot for a reason. You're not a bro. You're second generation. I'm first generation. And then the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Riddle has backstage heat on him for those comments in certain circles. Riddle's comments were not storyline related, as he is not being pushed on the same level as Reigns. They're on two different shows. While a match could happen later because of the draft, the belief backstage is that Riddle is talented and more than he gets credit for, but he's not able to handle WWE politics. Steph, what's your thoughts on Riddle's comments? Do you think it had any truth to it, or is this Matt Riddle trying to pitch for another feud like he has in the past with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar?
I think all your questions, the answer is yes there. Firstly, Matt Riddle's kids will not be telling him he's a good parent once they learn to use Google. So he needs to not be using that statement.
He's right.
That might be the line. That might be the line of the show.
Nobody told.
Like, Matt Riddle is always looking for a match with someone. I think he just doesn't give a fuck about what he says, and he eyes up people that can, get more of a spotlight on him, like a Goldberg and a Reigns. As for Roman Reigns, the fact is he got an opportunity because of who his family is, and he got the company behind him because of who his family is, plus what he looks like as well. That doesn't mean that, especially the current incarnation we have of Roman, it is the best thing on the show. So he's done well. but there's many wrestlers that get an opportunity because their dad was a wrestler. The Rock himself, even just getting tryouts, he was from a wrestling family. So that happens. And the ones that are really good end up like Roman or The Rock, and the ones that suck end up like DiBiase's kid or people like that, that you don't really think about. So Roman hasn't, Roman's comments on CM Punk, I just thought were like pretty funny, and I don't hate him for saying it. I think that he probably really heavily dislikes CM Punk, and I can totally understand why he does. And I like it when people I like hate each other. I'm a big fan of that more than being friends. But the fact of the matter is, like, Roman Reigns has not moved the needle because no one in WWE moves the needle. Like, things are still always as they have been. So there's no needle mover right now. There's no Rock. There's no Austin. Roman is doing the best someone possibly can and continuing to like keep the ship steady while at the helm. But he has not blown up wrestling at all. So the whole but then Matt Riddle has certainly not moved the needle. Like, there's more, you can say more for Roman moving the needle than you can for Matt, because at least the show that Roman's on is a better show, and the feuds he's in are really big time. The RK Bro stuff, while it might be entertaining, this is not going to be like the greatest wrestling storyline where in like 20 years we come back and are like, oh my gosh, RK Bro, remember that? It's not going to have that longevity at all. But I think Matt Riddle is just a shit talker that doesn't really care about what trouble it gets him in, which probably comes from the fact that he's a legit MMA fighter, and he seems to be not as like in the WWE cult as other people, probably because he has outside life experience. So he's probably like perfectly aware that he can just go anywhere and do anything if someone does decide to fire him. Whereas like Roman is like a baby that's been raised in system. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Matt Riddle for many non-wrestling reasons. And I do think, he just wants a match with Roman, and he wants to make comments that people talk about. And I'm sure Roman read them and was like, whatever, bro, I have way bigger things to think about. Like, my family member that got me through the door might be giving me a match at some point, so I'll focus on that.
And he's focused on Brock Lesnar right now. So the guy that Matt Riddle tried to do this with before. So I definitely agree with you, Steph. Dave Meltzer addressed the topic of Adam Cole this week on Tuesday's edition of Wrestling Observer Radio. According to Meltzer, he's spoken to various sources behind the scenes in WWE who should have information if WWE did circulate an internal memo about Adam Cole being a done deal, basically, with WWE. But they reportedly did not see the memo in question. While Meltzer believed the news of the internal memo was legit, he speculated that WWE doesn't communicate to the primary people they should communicate that stuff to. Additionally, Meltzer stated that WWE did not circulate an internal memo when Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson's contract was up, noting that WWE officials were still internally hoping they could lure Bryan back with a new contract. Meltzer went on to say that he's been given the impression that the status of Adam Cole and WWE is not a done deal, and that Cole could come back. However, Meltzer continued that a memo being sent out regarding Cole indicates that WWE officials aren't confident about bringing him back. According to Fightful Select, sources in WWE stated that Cole made it clear well ahead of his contract expiring that he was not willing to give up the Twitch account as others had been asked to, like AJ Styles, Cesaro. Fightful notes that the source claimed the matter was considered non-negotiable for Adam Cole. Additionally, higher-ups in WWE reportedly weren't excited to talk to him about it because they didn't have much leverage in the situation, which was even before they knew his contract would be up. Benno, do you think that this Twitch account will be the deal breaker as far as WWE being in talks to bring back Adam Cole?
Yeah, I think despite his wrestling character, like everything you hear about Adam Cole is that he's a genuinely nice, good person. And if you watch any of his Twitch stuff, you can tell he's got a real affinity for the group. Yeah, the group of people who watch his Twitch, and he's very loyal to them. So it doesn't shock me at all. Like, I can't justify if I'm Adam Cole re-signing with WWE. Like, you look at everything we've heard these last few weeks, they don't want short guys. They don't want indie guys. Why would they want him? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they might be sweet talking him now, But, you know, a month of Raw booking will, you know, put pay to that. He's got loads of great friends in AEW. He's a member of the elite, so the Bucks are going to look after him. His girlfriend's there. He goes out, he socializes with the AEW locker room. I could understand when the stories were that he was loyal to Shawn and Trips. They've got no power anymore. There is no reason for Adam Cole to stay with WWE now. If he stays, then more fool him.
Yeah, I won't feel bad for him when he regrets that decision either, if he does stay with WWE. Fightful Select has an update on WWE's plans for WrestleMania 38, and it appears WWE might continue with running the event across 2 nights, similar to WrestleMania 36 and this year's WrestleMania 37. Per the report, WWE has since last week begun internal plans to hold next year's WrestleMania 38 over the 2 nights. Under the new plan, WrestleMania 38 would be held on Saturday, April 2nd and Sunday, April 3rd, provided there was no capacity restrictions due to COVID-19. This would be the first WrestleMania held on 2 nights with a full crowd in attendance. The Fightful Select report also noted that their plans are can still change until WWE makes them official. For example, they had similar issues with SummerSlam at Alliance Stadium. And also, speaking of WrestleMania news, Ringside News reports, take this with a grain of salt because it's Ringside News, recently reported that The Rock is a lock for WrestleMania 39, not 38, in 2023 at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. The report also noted that The Rock will not be appearing this year in Dallas, which had been the original idea. The Wrestling Observer newsletter pushed back on this slightly, noting that Rock will appear if, when, and where he's able, as his schedule means he's not a lock for any show. But if he wants to do WrestleMania and isn't busy with acting, 2023 is the likely year he will do that. One of the bigger outside projects that The Rock has right now is the XFL, which is starting in 2023. The Observer notes that with The Rock not happening until 2023, it would seem the plan is for Lesnar to appear at WrestleMania 38, potentially against Roman Reigns. Lesnar signed a contract at the last minute just before SummerSlam, like we noted last week. What would you think about The Rock appearing for WrestleMania 39 instead of 38? And does it take some luster off of the next year's card at WrestleMania, Top Guy JJ?
No, I've been calling The Rock being at SoFi Stadium ever since they made this announcement. Like Texas Stadium, he's already been there. He's already been there, done that. He needs to go. If you're going to do this big and make this really happen, make sure that you align this with his schedule, because he's in the middle of like 3-4 movies again. So it's like you got to ensure that this commitment is like 1.5 years, 2 years down the line, so he can actually clear up that schedule for that time frame. But SoFi Stadium has been the call for me ever since this whole storyline with Roman. And obviously they got to keep Roman hot for another year, which is probably a challenge. But Texas Stadium, you don't need The Rock at Texas Stadium. They're probably going to main event that show with Roman and Brock again. So I've been calling SoFi for The Rock for the past like year, ever since they even made this announcement. SoFi just makes more sense.
Yeah, it really does. And I would like a long-form story of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And it doesn't even need to be for the Universal title, in my opinion. That's why I do think that the Demon might beat Roman. This is the first time I think anybody could beat Roman. I know we've expressed our thoughts on the Demon.
How dare you say this on Tru Heel Heat?
I think it's a possibility. I'm just saying. I'm going out on a limb.
How dare you?
Going out on a limb here. PW Insider issued a new update on the backstage and creative issues that led to changes on this week's Raw. Several sources claim that it was the longest day in a while for the creative team. Vince McMahon reportedly was extremely unhappy with the original plans for this week's Raw, and this led to McMahon ripping up on the script several times, and this included McMahon disregarding the original script for the show. The show wasn't officially made until 6 p.m., 2 hours before the broadcast, and it was described that McMahon was the loudest and angriest they've ever seen him on the day of the show. Do you think that this has anything to do with Fox and USA getting, breathing down the neck of WWE due to, Becky and Brock going to SmackDown instead of USA Network, and then Fox being mad at WWE for not negotiating with CM Punk stuff?
I just if you imagine what Vince's life is like right now. It's just funny. Like he's got this Fox and USA kind of like war. They're so unhappy. Fox are getting Becky and Brock, and they just had John Cena. But USA Network, they have the Peacock thing, so Fox was salty about that. And then at the same time, like he obviously sees the ratings and stuff. And I think as much as there's no like Nick Khan will say like AEW is not competition, like he can't be that dumb not to know kind of like what's going on. And then there's the whole NXT thing that he clearly thinks is a massive fuck up, and Triple H is taking the fall on. And you can imagine his like blood pressure is just sky high right now. And it's funny though, he's coming in and this is not the first time he's done shit like this, but he's having a meltdown, saying these scripts are bad, he's ripping them up, he's making people wait till the final second for the script to be ready, which if you add in what happened with Charlotte and Nia on the show, you gotta wonder what that afternoon in the locker room was like, basically like that, this show that he was so mad about that we end up having a shoot fight on it because the script just gets ripped up and we have a shoot fight between two people that are maybe like the most angry at each other. But at the end of the day, he still doesn't address any of the problems. Like, how many times does he scream about scripts, rip them up, yet he never reshuffles the writer's room like properly. People just come and go, but he never like works out like what is the source of the problem. It's not a case of like swapping this guy for that guy or whatever. There's something at the heart of this that is broken.
Does he own a mirror?
Yeah, and he never takes blame of him and Bruce Pritchard either. Yeah, he never looks in the mirror when he's next to his best pal Bruce Pritchard. So, nope. I mean, the man taking a temper tantrum.
No.
God. Someone needs to just stand up in the middle of that locker room and say, like, it's you,
It's you.
It's you. We need Vince McMahon to come out, or we need like a storyline or a real life thing where someone says like, this company is in the fucking toilet, and then Vince McMahon under a cloak takes off his hood and it's like, it's me.
It was me. It was me, Austin. It was me.
And even if Vince don't see AEW as competition, you better best believe Fox and USA definitely sees them as competition. So that's what's going to turn Vince's fucking coils over, because he's got to deal with the companies that he's affiliated with, because they see what AEW is doing. Vince don't have to see it, but the other companies are. That's why they're in fucking turmoil right now. Fox had CM Punk in their grasp. They had him. They had him on their channel, and they fumbled it. Like, Fox is like, are you fucking kidding me right now? We could have had that. We could have had that on Fox. You fucking moron. We could have had that on Fox.
No, Fox doesn't obviously know like the history of like why CM Punk would never go back.
Oh, they don't give a fuck. They care about their channel.
But they're literally like, it feels like they've been in bed with WWE now with this like new deal of like this big Fox SmackDown show for what, about like 2 years. And I think that a lot of the stuff that's happened recently, like they're finally realizing like who they're in bed with, and kind of maybe sitting down and being like, okay, so you didn't get CM Punk because you completely fucked him over the first time and you're continuing to do this to other wrestlers, right? Like, yeah.
Not only that, you look at like, if you're Fox or you're NBC and you look at what you're paying for the Raw and SmackDown rights and what TNT are paying for AEW with pretty much the same demo, you look stupid. And this is the thing though as well. I don't even think this is news. Vince McMahon has been ripping up scripts for 20 years because he's been an out of touch old man for 20 years. And the only thing that's going to make WWE better is if he stands down or dies. Like, they are literally the two options at this point. You can change everything else in the system, but the problem is Vince McMahon. It's hard. And like JJ said, I don't think we're far away from those networks realizing that.
No.
Yeah, and just put it like this in perspective. AEW has been around for a little over 2 years, right? They are already less than 1 million viewers shorter than their biggest show on television. In less than 2 years. SmackDown has been around for almost 20 years, and AEW is already breathing down their necks already. That speaks volumes.
It's funny because WWE right now, they put it, it's so like, you know, WWE, the brand, we have the brand name, like fuck the actual people. It's the brand people are buying into. And it's like, well, your brand's not holding up that much if there's enough wrestling fans or people that are in any way familiar with wrestling to watch this brand that's not established at all over years, you know, like
Yeah.
they just have not done a good job at all with anything, and this is the time. That's why when you talk about the Rock coming, like it makes more sense for the Rock to come back, but do they have the time, like you know, to wait for the Rock with how shit things are going?
Honestly, I don't even think it makes sense. I just think it's WWE being WWE. The Rock should honestly never come back to WWE as a competitor.
No.
Like, ever. They have so much talent on their roster. They have the biggest roster in the entire wrestling industry. And they keep calling these guys back. They call the Goldbergs. They call the Rocks. They call the Brocks. They call the John Cenas. They call these guys back when they have over 200 wrestlers. Like, it's kind of embarrassing when you call these guys back.
That's when they were like all saying, oh, you know, WWE's gonna have new plans for when the fans come back. I knew what those new plans were. It's nostalgia. He's got the nostalgia button. He's got the panic room with his panel of buttons, and the biggest button on it is nostalgia. So he brings someone back. Nostalgia. It gets them a quick increase for a while, and then it goes right back down. That's the circle of life in the WWE.
Band-Aid. It's a band-aid, not a solution.
Yes, you, my boy Blue, is exactly right. Like, comment, subscribe to help the channel grow. If you want to guarantee your comment gets seen, send a super chat donation. Show some love to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. We always greatly appreciate it. Our good friend Steph from the Wrestling Daily community, Lizzie Stallion, is here with us. Wrestling Daily / Tru Heel Heat Wrestling crossover. Love it. Yes, love it. And show some love. Drop us a like and comment and send a super chat to help us out, of course. A couple of other WWE notes. Speaking of them adding to their roster or not knowing how to add to their roster, PW Insider reported that stories of WWE no longer recruiting or signing indie talent are not 100% accurate. According to the outlet, there is a new renewed push toward the company seeking larger athletes outside of the industry that can be, in the words of one source, molded like raw clay to become WWE stars. According to PW Insider, the feeling is more that the company moved too far into only recruiting indie talent and is now swinging in the other direction. The WWE did a new class of WWE Performance Center recruits, including, like we heard earlier, the brother of the Usos. The company announced the class of recruits, which features Joseph Fatu, Gable Stevens' brother Bobby, and Boo Buchanan's son Ben. We also got PW Insider reported that Sasha Banks was not on the road for WWE this past weekend and is not expected back this week. The hope is that Banks will be back for WWE on the weekend of September 10th, which is for the Madison Square Garden SmackDown show. WrestleVotes reported, this one will make Top Guy JJ happy, that the rematch between WWE champion Bobby Lashley and Goldberg will happen at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Sweet Saudi money is coming back. Sweet Saudi money 6 coming back, going to a Saudi Arabia near you. And Fightful Select reports that only Bianca Belair and Carmella knew ahead of time about Becky Lynch's return. The news was officially kept secret from most of the other rosters, and Lynch wasn't on the eternal script for the show. Fightful has reported that Royal Rumble will emanate from St. Louis, Missouri next year, and reportedly it might happen in February instead of January this year. And then Ric Flair was on the Oral Sessions podcast, and he says that the reason behind his WWE releases, he says, and I quote, "I had a bunch of pending opportunities. I had a bunch of things that I was doing currently at the time that I had signed a contract. They allowed those. Wendy got to keep her shop. These were our big things. I got to keep Cameo. A couple of deals were coming along, and I got to the point where I was asking them. I probably exhausted them asking not to grandfather me in and to let me do it. So he had to go." And then AEW news, an interesting note about Jim Ross. Ringside News and Bodyslam.net both made reports that Jim Ross would be stepping away from full-time commentary and taking a part-time role for the organization for big matches and sit-down interviews. Both JR and AEW president Tony Khan denied the reports. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that a related rumor suggested that Ross would be leaving the company at the end of the year, and there had been talks of Taz replacing him, but those appear to be false. Ross originally signed a 3-year contract in early 2019. A lot of the original deals are coming up, so you've seen like Britt Baker has resigned. But what do you think of the rumors of JR stepping down, and do you think it might be a good time for that to happen, Benno?
Yeah, I mean, good time for that to happen was 18 years ago, but I'll take it now. He's not been good in AEW, but when he has been good, it's been in fleeting moments, like when he stepped in for Jericho on that Rampage last week. That was a great JR performance, and you don't see many of them these days. He's not built to be, at his age either, to be built to be a commentator every week. I think that's a good idea. If you have him in, every few weeks or for big matches or big occasions, I think that's for the best. Now, it sounds like the story was news to him. And, I don't think he's going to want to go anywhere because he's quite stubborn as well. And I can't imagine, Tony Khan giving him any pointers on his commentary goes down well either. But I think that would just be best for everybody. You get to keep JR. You can do interviews like he did with Punk this week, and he can jump in for big matches. I think that's the ideal.
And this is something I've suggested before on Tru Heel Heat. Like, this would avoid him saying WWE Dynamite or calling Kenny Omega the WWE champion. Just have him in limited capacity things where he can come for the big moments and his voice adds gravitas to the moments like that. Tony Khan announced on Twitter this week ahead of AEW Dynamite that Pac and Andrade El Idolo was removed from the AEW All Out 2021 card due to travel issues for Pac, and they would be facing on this coming week's Rampage. While he didn't specify at the time, Andrade has been teasing a mystery opponent for the show. On Thursday's episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, though, Dave Meltzer noted that Pac is missing the show for the same reason that Sasha Banks has been absent from WWE. Although he did not elaborate on what the reason was, Banks has been off of WWE TV for weeks and notably missed her match with Bianca Belair at SummerSlam. What do you think, and what do you think the reason might be behind Pac missing All Out, Steph?
I've been spreading rumors this weekend, so
I don't know.
Oh boy!
I mean,
say what you think
I'll say what I think the reason is.
Yeah, go ahead, Beto.
Brain dead vaccine denier, that's the reason, and that's what Meltzer is alluding to with Sasha as well.
Yeah.
Saying that though, he is supposed to be coming out for a Dynamite or Rampage at some point, so maybe they got through to him and changed his mind. But
Dynamite is taping Dynamite and Rampage on Wednesday in Cincinnati.
I can imagine Andrade being like fucking pissed, especially if that's the reason. Because Andrade, more than any new person that we've seen here, needs a good performance. And we all thought Pac was the man to give it to him, and getting it at the pay-per-view would have been best for him. And maybe he had like a little trick plan like he did at Triple Mania with Ric Flair or something. And I would say that like Pac is just really pissed off Andrade this week, because if I was Andrade and I was not really getting over in the way that I maybe should be, and things were just kind of chugging along with the Guerreros, I would be really like hyped to try and do something awesome with Pac at what's going to be a huge pay-per-view, and he's not getting it. And if it's due to Pac not taking
rumors, by the way, allegedly. Comments of Benno, Tru Heel Heat aren't responsible for, something like that. Throw that in.
Like,
there we go. That's our catchphrase here.
Like, I don't know, dude. You work in wrestling, you're going to be traveling everywhere. You're going to be going to different places. Some of these places have certain mandates when it comes to this. I mean, at the end of the day, isn't it now just part of your job to get it? Like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
He's a healthy dude, man. It's kind of like, if that's the case, and it's classic stubbornness. You're in the profession. Yeah. You're in the profession. Any company you go to, this is going to be probably what the requirements are.
He's a really nice guy, but he's a stubborn guy too. And it would, again, I've heard this rumor from a couple of Brit Res people, and it wouldn't shock me. But hopefully he's been sorted now, and he's just done it to be a company guy, which is what he should do.
Yeah, he was nice to my wife when we went to Rev Pro 2 years ago. So I have nothing bad to say about Pac. But certain people, if you're a vaccine denier, this is the stuff that happens. And Sasha Banks is known for that as well. Ten Russo saying off topic, but SP3, I discovered you on Quizzlemania. Think you're amazing. I think you're amazing too. Thank you for supporting the channel and supporting this video. According to Fightful, Kip Sabian is currently in Chicago, so he seems like he's going to be making a return. Max Caster made his return on the AEW Dark Elevation taping before Dynamite on Wednesday and last night in Chicago, Illinois before Rampage. AEW Full Gear may be moving dates. The Wrestling Observer reports that while the plan was to have it on November 6th, they may be moving because there's a boxing fight and a UFC event and college football on that weekend. According to a report from Fightful Select, Britt Baker's contract signing that she alluded to on Dynamite is actually true. And speaking of COVID protocols, you are now required to show proof of a COVID-19 vaccination for the Arthur Ashe event on September 22nd in New York City. And in big news of today, New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced that next year's Wrestle Kingdom will be 3 nights. January 4th, January 5th in the Tokyo Dome, and January 8th in Yokohama Arena.
What the
fuck? Top guy JJ, what do you think about Wrestle Kingdom going 3 nights?
Overkill. Yeah. Overkill. Like, come on. Like, I get that, we spread things out with the pandemic and everything, but that's overkill. And then it's not even like back to back to back. It's like, then you do it 2 days and we get a couple of days off and then we're going to resume the event. We're going to resume the event at the weekend. God, no, that's terrible. Like, change that now. Like, just change that. Like, what the fuck?
Fingers crossed that some AEW talents on this.
Like, people would make trips over there for this event. And then they got to stay there an extra 4 days so they can catch the third night? That's dumb. It's horrible.
The good thing, guys, is New Japan has never been hotter, so what a time to do it, Oh, sorry, it's not 2014,
No, not at all. Not at all.
They can't pull this off. They can't. Evil will be in one of those main events, I guarantee you.
Lovely stuff. Yes, we do have all the memes here on Tru Heel Heat. Lizzie Stallion, Slam and Sammy Joe said, not sure if I saw you on Quizzlemania or Wrestling Daily. Probably Wrestling Daily, the home of me and Steph Chase. Go over there and subscribe and get us to Quizzlemania War Games. And we got Marjo joining us saying, we got a couple of arguments going on in the live chat. It's all good, people.
There's a lot of hostility in the chat right now.
We're all friends here. You can have a logical and sensible conversation here. And in Frantic World saying, what the fuck, New Japan. And we also got Nick Jackson saying, New Japan, why? Make it make sense. And no, Wrestle Kingdom 3 nights does not make any sense. Last news notes, Adam Shearer, aka the former Braun Strowman, has announced that he will be competing under his real name against EC3 at the Free to Narrative 2 on October 1st. Billy Corgan announced the next NWA pay-per-view on Busted Open Radio this week will be held on Saturday, December 4th, Hard Times 2. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Ric Flair being involved with the AAA Triple Mania show was a last-minute decision made by Conan suggesting it. And then our thoughts is out to Roosh, the former ROH World Champion, who underwent emergency surgery this week after suffering a knee injury at Glory by Honor 2021, and he's going to be out for the remainder of 2021. And then we go to our preview and predictions. New Japan, you have frustrated us enough, so I'm just going to run through your card, and I'm just going to get predictions on the main event because you have pissed me off with giving 28 minutes to Toriano and 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not going to focus too much on this show. Plus, you already gave us copyright strikes, so I am only saying this card for the stick figures from our producer. Stick figures, take it away. We got a Stardom showcase on the Wrestle Grand Slam night 2 event. There's going to be Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii and Kazuchika Okada versus United Empire of Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. Bullet Club, El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori will versus Suzuki Guns, El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, who won the Super Junior Tag League. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship Championship match. This one should be great, as it's going to be Robbie Eagles versus Hiromu Takahashi. Can we get the Hiromu Takahashi stick figure?
Yes, sir.
Every time, never misses. It never misses. It never misses. Our Hiromu Takahashi stick figure, and of course, Daryl is here with us on Tru Heel Heat. This is why you do Tru Heel Heat every week. IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Dangerous Tekkers, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taishi will defend the titles against Tetsuya Naito and Sanada versus Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. And then in the main event, I think this is not too hard to think about, but it's going to be for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Shingo Takagi, coming off of COVID-19, happy that he is back with us, versus one of the more polarizing IWGP heavyweight champions of all time, Evil. Who wins? I want to hear thoughts from Daryl, Steph, and Benno. And that's Shingo stick figure. Steph and Benno and Daryl. That's Shingo the stick figure. Very well done by Steph. Who do you have, Shingo or Evil?
I have Shingo, and Daryl says Shingo.
Good boy, Daryl.
Represent LIJ all day. Benno?
Shingo, God please. But the losers are the fans who have to watch him.
Absolutely. Top guy, JJ?
Across the board. Done. We're done with this.
Yes.
Why are we having this match?
It is unanimous, and we want to hear your predictions and previews for New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Grand Slam, as well as the big show, which you're getting into now, All Out 2021. Let's start with the match that I think we are all least interested in, because it's not the Shoguns implode. It is Tall Paul White.
Yes,
will
sir!
be making
This is why we watch the show, baby.
AEW in-ring debut against QT Marshall. This showdown of the Immortals all started when QT Marshall and the Factory were abusing Tony Khan's poor, defenseless son, who's about 35 years old. Gave him constipation, it seemed like, and gave him a diamond cutter. Tall Paul came out for the save, and we had to see pictures of Tall Paul's ass on network television. Yes, we did. And then this past week on Dynamite, we had the Shoguns implode as Billy Gunn turned on Tall Paul to set up Tall Paul's next feud. Yeah. So you know who's winning this one. I'm going with Tall Paul. Benno, who you got?
Tall Paul, 3 seconds over. Anthony Ogogo comes out, and we get an explanation for why we're even doing this. Why is QT Marshall on TV? I don't care that he loses all the time. He's not good enough to be on mainstream TV. Makes no sense. Squash him in 3 seconds.
Don't talk about Steph's friend like that. QT is Steph's friend, so Steph, who you got?
But I think it's going to be a knockout from the Big Show. Maybe 3 seconds, maybe 7 seconds. But I think under a minute for sure.
Top guy JJ, you going with QT?
No, I'm changing my pick, man. Crazy guys, there's no way in fucking hell. Like, come on, man, this is gonna be like the fastest match on the entire night. It's gonna be a punch and this match is over. Like 7-star classic right here, but I love Steph's change to 7-second classic. This is all it's gonna take. A swing, a pinfall, it's over. This is why we watch these pay-per-views, baby.
And we got some love for our great producer from Lizzie Stallion. Excellent stick figures. Our producer is blushing in the background. I can see him. We got you, my boy Blue, saying Papa Shingo. Papa Shingo. That's a great line. We got Marjo saying the Gun Club to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Confirmed. Hey, Billy Gunn was already in New Japan, so. There you go. And then Marjo saying he goes by Paul White now. No, Tall Paul. That's his name. And see, Nick Jackson knows. Tall Paul, baby. Tall Paul all day. And we started off with that match, but we should have started off on the buy-in, as it's going to be a 10-man tag of Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, Chuck Taylor, and Jurassic Express versus Matt Hardy, Private Party, and TH2. This has been about the feud between Cassidy and Hardy for the last couple of months. HFO has been feuding with the Best Friends as well as Jurassic Express. So all these teams combined together. This is due to Pac and Andrade being removed from the All Out card. The Casino Battle Royale, the Women's Battle Royale, was supposed to be on the pre-show. It is now moved to the main card, and this match will be the first match we see on Sunday. So, Top Guy JJ, who you got? Team Best Friends in Jurassic Express or the HFO?
Oh, come on, we're gonna team babyface here, man. You never start the night off on a downer with fucking Hardy Family Organization winning this match. You get the crowd going, especially when Jurassic Express comes out. You gotta start the crowd off hot. Easy choice for the babyface.
Hardy Family Office, get it right. You can have
Office
some
organization. What the fuck ever? They're
have
gonna
some
lose.
respect. Steph, I know you are the biggest Matt Hardy fan. You love him so dearly, and you've enjoyed everything he's done in AEW. You've never said a bad thing about him on your YouTube channel or Wrestling Daily. But who do you and Daryl have in this one? HFO versus Best Friends in Jurassic Express.
Oh, God help us. It must be Jurassic Express and Best Friends. I think that way you get to hear two really great songs, the Pixies and Baltimore, to lead us into pay-per-view, make us all happy. Yes, please, no, Matt Hardy. And please, can hit all his followers, especially Private Party, realize that they're in a faction with Matt Hardy in 2021.
Benno, who you got?
You know when Doc Hendricks was like the Hardy Brothers manager, like did Matt Hardy think that was good?
Yeah.
Having an old man hang around with these like cool young guys wasn't good. AEW seemed to love him, so I actually think the Hardy team might win. And Matt Hardy and his elbows for kneecaps is going to continue to ruin every Dynamite and Rampage that he's on.
That might be true, but I'm going with Jurassic Friends. Jurassic Friends for the win here. We got AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling on this card, as it's going to be Jon Moxley going one-on-one with New Japan Pro Wrestling legend Kojima. Mox and Kojima, this is all set up from Jon Moxley making a challenge to anyone from New Japan Pro Wrestling. He has called out Hiroshi Takahashi, said that he's scared to verse him, and Takahashi proved that by not accepting this challenge and letting old man Kojima come out. But this is going to be a hard-hitting affair. Kojima, yes, make sure we put that up. Graphic property of AEW, not New Japan, so we can show Kojima, ladies and gentlemen. So, but who you got here, Mox or Kojima? Let's start with Benno.
Moxley, definitely. I think it's going to be a wash, but I think it'll be a good match. I think it will. Like, it's not the match we wanted Moxley to have against a New Japan guy, but I still think it'll be good.
Agreed there. I am going with Moxley for the win as well. Steph?
Moxley, I think this is the labors of Moxley to get to Tanahashi. We're going to see some other older dudes from New Japan, like Minoru Suzuki, coming in before he gets his big match with Tanahashi.
There's stick figure Tanahashi, ladies and gentlemen. He made an appearance on today, so I'll be challenging. It's Top Guy JJ. Who you got?
Oh, Mox. We're definitely going Mox. It's going to be a hard-hitting match, so definitely going with Mox here, though.
And Mox has taken a shot for every time we picked him on this preview right here. The Casino Battle Royale returns, but this time it is for the ladies for the first time in 2 years since All Out 2019. In this match, already confirmed, Nyla Rose, Julia Hart, Big Swole, The Bunny, Thunder Rosa, Red Velvet, Tay Conti, Penelope Ford, Diamante, Hikaru Shida, Emi Sakura, Jade Cargill, Kira Hogan, Sky Blue, Abaddon, Kylan King, Layla Hirsch, Anna Jay, and more to be announced, which is, of course, the number 21 Joker card. So first, I will ask Top Guy JJ, who is your Joker card, and who do you have winning the Casino Battle Royale?
I have Ruby Soho as my Joker, of course, and I'm going with Miss Conti winning the Battle Royale because I think it's just kind of fitting for her to get this mid-month match with Goat Baker before moving on to bigger and better things. But yeah, it's going to be a good moment for Miss Conti there.
Steph, who you got in this one? Casino Battle Royale. Who's your Joker card, and who do you have winning?
My Joker's Ruby Soho as well. I think they're gonna fool us all though and let the Joker win, just because I think Brittany's a really strong baby face. She's been with Thunder Rosa before. I think they're holding off on that, and I do think Tony Khan's putting down some money for Rancid, but he's definitely getting a discount because Lars loves wrestling, and he's gonna play that song twice on the night.
Absolutely. Benno, who you got? Joker and the winner.
Full set for the Joker, Ruby Soho, and I think I'm with Steph. I don't see anyone else in that lineup that's an interesting match for Britt. So I think you go straight with Ruby. You do that, and she wins. And faces Britt.
I want to see a longer feud for Britt and Ruby Soho, so I won't put Ruby Soho as my Joker card. I'll be a little different here, and I'll say you celebrate women's professional wrestling with the person who put together the Empowerrr card, and you have Mickie James be your Joker card because she can come out, be the nice pop, and not win. That's the difference between her and Ruby Soho. And I think I agree with Top Guy JJ that this is a perfect spot for Tay Conti, who's been getting a spotlight over the last couple of weeks, to get the big win and go on to versus Britt Baker, potentially at Arthur Ashe Stadium, where Britt Baker wins. And then she's approached by the runaway who's been trying to get to New York City, Ruby Soho, there. And we set up a longer feud with Ruby Soho and Britt Baker going into Full Gear. This one is one that Steph is very much interested in. Chris Jericho's career is on the line. The final fight. If Jericho loses, he will never wrestle again in AEW. This all started last year after All Out when Jericho and MJF first came into each other's world. They became best of friends. They had Le Dinner Debonair. MJF beat Jericho to get into the inner circle, but he was always trying to basically know how a faction works so he can turn his back on the inner circle. He created the Pinnacle on the backs of the inner circle, then defeated the Pinnacle, inner circle in blood and guts on May 5th at Double or Nothing. The inner circle got their win back in Stadium Stampede 2, but then Jericho wanted his one-on-one match with MJF. He went through the 5 labors of Jericho, defeating Shawn Spears, Nick Gage, Juventud Guerrera, Wardlow to verse MJF and lose and get tapped out by MJF with the Salt of the Earth on the August 18th, 2021 AEW Dynamite. So Jericho had no choice but to put his career on the line in the final fight. Steph, we're going to start with you. Jericho, MJF, who wins the final fight?
Well done recapping that, because this has been a long-built storyline. I know he's talked a lot of people into thinking he's going to lose, but I don't think he's going to lose. I think Jericho's final match is going to be on a bigger stage where he's the center of attention, and not on this card where we've got so much to talk about. And I think it's going to be like a Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels situation when he retires. And also, I recently purchased this book with all his matches in it. And if he's about to have his last one, I'm just not really sure why he would have just put out this book, I think. Because we're going to need like a little bit of a pamphlet to put on the end of it, like if stuff's over. So I just don't think that this is the end. I don't think, though, going forward for the next couple of months until Full Gear, we're going to see him every week. But yeah, I don't think he's losing. I think he's staying.
Benno, who you got?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Steph there. I think
plug the book.
Not particularly, but I think they.
You could put the book on the screen. We'll put you full screen. You can put the book.
There you go.
Purchase Jericho30.com.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely winning. I think he's put the fear of God in us all. The idea if he loses, he's going to be on commentary full time, yelling every week. I know Steph doesn't agree with this, but like I don't want that. And I think it's just a way to put stakes on a match that doesn't seem that hot right now. I think doing the 5th labor on TV was a huge mistake. Having Jericho tap out was a huge mistake.
Have you been watching him mute?
This thing needs more heat. And they tried to give it with these stakes, and I don't even think that's done it. I need this feud over with.
He doesn't know what he's
I love how pissed and Steph looked during that whole. I love how pissed Steph looked.
I picked Jericho, so
This is a Mega Powers explode moment.
I'm just gonna say I kind of agree with Benno. I feel like the labors of Jericho weren't booked the best. It should have been 5 people Jericho beats to get his match with MJF at the pay-per-view. I feel like this was a harped on, match stipulation to kind of make it feel bigger, but I don't think they should have done that 5th match against MJF on TV. They should have saved it for the pay-per-view. That's what I always thought they were going to do. And it always felt like it went downhill after Nick Gage as well. So That's just me, but I am going for Chris Jericho to get the victory here because Jericho's career can't end here. Top guy JJ, who you got?
Yeah, I think it's a consensus with everybody here. I mean, probably except Seth. I apologize in advance. This over. It was kind of overkill with the fifth labor being on TV. Like it should have just like this should have been the blow off right here. It didn't have to involve his career. It didn't have to involve all of this extra shaz. They could have just had the third labor here tomorrow night, and it could have been much more of a coin flip match. And even if MJF beats him in the blow off, there's no stipulation with the career being on the line. So I don't see Jericho losing with his career being on the line in a mid card. Like this is a mid card. He's going to be in the mid card. He's probably going to be like the top of hour 2. So why would his career be over when it's definitely not going to be the biggest moment of the night? So that's definitely not the case here. I do not see Jericho losing at all to MJF. And to the people, this is not going to hurt MJF's career. MJF will be okay. He is still a stud. He will still be a top guy. One loss to Chris Jericho after beating him 3 times in a row is not going to end his career.
Our producer in the background is so pissed off right now. You should see him, ladies and gentlemen. He's like scratching his head. He's so mad that Top Guy JJ just said that. In the match, I'm probably looking forward to the most. That might be the most overlooked or underrated match on this card. For the TNT Championship, Miro, God's favorite champion, will defend against our New York brethren, Eddie Kingston. This all started when Miro called out Eddie, and now Eddie has said that he is going for Miro's neck because his last couple of matches against Lee Johnson and Fuego del Sol has seen Miro's kryptonite is the DDT. Eddie laid him out on Rampage this past week to really show that. So who wins here, Miro or Eddie Kingston? Let's start with Benno.
Yeah, this is the fucking match, SB3. This is the one. Like, this turned me around on this entire card. I'm so excited for it.
It did.
I wish we'd had 10 weeks of them cutting promos on each other because I would have taken that. But
yes,
I'm sneakily picking Eddie Kingston. I think Miro's far more likely, but something feels like they could do a rematch in New York. I could see Eddie Kingston maybe. Eddie, holding the belt high, wearing his DMX extra medium jersey again. I'd love to see that. I love both these dudes though. So them two going out and having a banger is almost guaranteed for me. Big lad slapping me.
Oh yeah, Top Guy JJ, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, again, went over this before, but I definitely see. I want, and I believe I'm going to say this with little confidence, but this is what I want. I believe Eddie Kingston defeats Miro in an upset to become the TNT Championship because I do believe that they will probably have one final rematch, but I do believe Miro is going to start to head to bigger and better things. Like he has been established as such a badass monster that I think that the TNT Championship he's already probably had. I think he's up there with the most defenses already. He's up there with Cody already, and
well, he hasn't passed. I don't think he's passed Darby.
He's had quite a few successful defenses, and I think he's already established a big enough name to not need that title to get involved in a bigger picture. And I think this has to be you got to pull a trigger on Eddie Kingston with a big moment at some point. Like he can't just keep coming out to these promos, having a great promo, which I love his promos, but give him his moment. He's not going to be around that much longer in the wrestling industry. Give him his moment. Let him have it right now because this will lead to something much more awesome in a couple of months down the line with a dude that we were just talking about earlier in the card.
Steph, who do you think wins here?
I think Miro wins via distraction interference by his hot wife Lana, leading to Arthur Ashe rematch, and Eddie gets his moment in New York.
Thank you. Someone that's thinking here. You do not have Eddie Kingston win a title in anywhere but New York City. That would just be dumb. Everybody's like, oh, Chicago can't get all the debuts. Well, Chicago can't get Eddie Kingston winning a title. That's New York. That's where it happens. If it's gonna happen, that's where it's happened. But I think that Miro gets to win clean. But after the match, he walks up the ramp and he celebrates with his hot wife waiting for him, and he with open arms, and that's how we debut CJ Perry in AEW. But me and Steph are here. That's why we're Wrestling Daily siblings. We got for the AEW Women's World Championship, Britt Baker or Dr. Britt Baker, DX OMD will defend against the undefeated since her return, Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander has been on a streak of matches. I think she's 20-0 since returning from injury. She was injured in a match against Britt Baker, so this is poetic justice here at All Out 2021. I think that this is the most predictable match on the card, so we won't waste any more time. Britt Baker's winning. Who you got, Benno?
Yeah, Britt Baker's winning. This feud's been terrible. Chris Statlander's looked like a geek. Move Britt onto something else.
Steph?
Yeah, nice you pointing out what happened between them before, because they've done everything to build this match except give them a storyline.
Yeah.
And yeah, Britt Baker is winning.
I try my best to recap the storyline, even if they don't. The top guy, JJ.
Yeah, nice little spiel on Statlander, but this ain't the night. This ain't the night. Go
I
Baker.
agree. All across the board, Goat Baker. Now we go from the most predictable match on the card to what I feel is an absolute toss-up. Inside a steel cage for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Young Bucks will defend against the Lucha Bros. 2 years ago at All Out 2019, they put on one of the greatest tag team or ladder matches that I've ever seen live. The Escalera de la Muerte ladder match for the AAA World Tag Team titles, where the Lucha Bros defeated the Young Bucks. This is really the anchors of the AEW tag team division. These two teams were in the first feud, the tag team feud in AEW, versing at the first two pay-per-views, but they have not touched in 2 years. The Lucha Bros defeated the Varsity Blondes and Jurassic Express to win the AEW World Tag Team title eliminator tournament to verse the Young Bucks here. It's inside a steel cage because Tony Khan does not want the elite getting involved, so they want to make it these two teams in the ring together. So who wins and who might die in this match? That's what my expectations are at this point. Top guy JJ, who you have winning?
Yeah, like you said, biggest coin flip match of the entire night right here. Like you ain't got. It's like somebody's gonna be wrong. You can't be wrong here, but this is gonna. I think this is gonna be the match of the night. But I have to see the Lucha Bros finally, after being in AEW for 2 years, to finally get their moment. They need this moment. Like, they need to get this to obviously get the credit for the tag team that they are. Like, they're so fucking good. And I think that with them not being in the limelight for so long, that they need this moment to really get that gratitude and get that notoriety. The Young Bucks don't need these titles, Joe. The Young Bucks are the best things going right now. One of the best things going on in AEW right now. They don't need those titles. They are such assholes. Like, they are such trolls. They could do this with or without these titles. Just give another team those titles so they get that tag team division some more notoriety, because they have the best division in all of pro wrestling. But god damn, like, the Young Bucks are the shit, man. They don't even, like, this loss will do absolutely nothing to them.
Who you got in this one, Steph?
Okay, I have some different booking ideas, but with another shout out to New York, because my sibling is from New York and I do love New York. So I think that the Young Bucks win, and I think their New York challengers are Santana and Ortiz, and Santana and Ortiz win because I think because Santana and Ortiz are in the inner circle and they have Sammy and Jake, that works with fighting off the Young Bucks with their pals being the Good Brothers. You know, I think the Young Bucks, the Elite, if you take Kenny out of the equation because he's a world champion doing his own thing, like you need another faction kind of to go up against the Elite. So I think like those inner circle members would work. And Lucha Brothers, they deserve a lot, but Santana and Ortiz really deserve a lot too. And I'd like to see them take the belts sooner rather than later.
I like your booking. I like the way you think. Benno.
You guys have some high expectations for this show in New York. Like high. Like
the most attended event in AEW history.
High.
Read the banner. Read the banner. New York deserves everything.
And the match before that said Chicago deserves everything. So stop it. Stop the cap.
Both. Put both. Benno, who you got? Lucha Bros or the Young Bucks?
Young Bucks all day for me. I mean, this doesn't feel like it was the match they were even building to. What happened to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus? I thought like that was the match. There's nothing wrong with throwing this match out there because they're going to go out there and have a near 5-star banger. But I don't really have any confidence that Penta and Phoenix were actually the long-term plan for this pay-per-view. So to me, that says Young Bucks win. And I'm kind of sold on that New York booking. Yeah, so that's the way I think it goes.
I think they've really been low-key because AEW doesn't overtly say things, and I wish they would sometimes, like we talked about before with Britt Baker and Chris Statlander and their history, but they've been overtly building towards this because, like you said, these two tag teams haven't faced each other in 2 years, but we have had Rey Fenix and Pac versus the Young Bucks earlier this year in the first match when the Young Bucks turned heel. That was a 5-star classic. We've had Penta and Eddie Kingston feud with the Young Bucks. They were the first team to beat the Young Bucks in well over a year in a non-title matchup to get the street fight at Road Rager, which they lost for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And the Lucha Bros, if there's one team besides Proud and Powerful I want to see win those titles more, it's probably the Lucha Bros. And this seems like the perfect chance to do it. So I say you go with the Lucha Bros. I don't think it's a long reign. I think we probably get it maybe transitioned over to FTR and then eventually to Santana and Ortiz. But right now, I feel like it is the Lucha Bros moment inside of a steel cage. All Out is a big event, and we need a title change on this card. And I don't see Miro losing the TNT championship. Don't see Britt Baker losing her title. And our next match, I also don't see a title change here, but for the AEW World Championship is going to be Kenny Omega defending against the Impact World Champion, Christian Cage. Christian Cage, of course, defeated Kenny Omega to win the Impact World Championship on the first ever match in Rampage history. He has been undefeated since coming to AEW. Kenny Omega has been on a great run as AEW World Champion, and I believe if he successfully defends the title here and makes it into to next month, he will be the longest reigning AEW World Champion in history. So who wins here, Christian or Omega? I'll go first. Like I said, Kenny Omega's winning this one. Who do you got, Benno?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny might be the longest reigning AEW champion, but, you know, let's get the Hangman Page story going because, to me, he's been the worst as far as defenses go. This is a mid-carder against the Goof. This should not be on one of your 4 pay-per-views a year. They've done a good job of turning things around, having that very good TV match and introducing the Don Callis element to the story. But nobody believes Christian's winning. Kenny Omega should be having A-quality pay-per-view matches if he wants to be remembered as a great AEW champion. Don't get me wrong, I think we'll get there. But Christian Cage isn't the one for me. And I think I'm the low man of Christian in general. But yeah, I hate this.
Wow, I love it. Spicy. Steph, what you got?
Kenny, of course. And no, I don't have any booking ideas for Christian in New York. I'll leave him off the card.
Hey, he got on the card enough against Matt Hardy for you, I know. Top guy JJ, who you got?
Yeah, honestly, man, what killed me about this entire rivalry was just the announcement backstage randomly that Christian was announced as the number 1 contender. Like, that just threw it off for me altogether. And then, obviously, the build-up to it has been utter garbage. Like, there's been nothing sustainable about this, and they try to throw us a bone with the match on Rampage, which was a good match, but the bone wasn't enough. It just didn't revitalize this so-called rivalry enough. Because they just got meshed together. There was no synergy here. This did not happen organically. Christian was announced. Now it's like, okay, I come out for you. I guess I'm supposed to be here because you're the champion and I'm the challenger. This just had no organic feeling to it whatsoever. Kenny is winning this match. Not enough substance here to even believe that Christian has a chance in this match.
Agreed. All around agreed there. And then finally, the main event. We had a question earlier. Where do you place CM Punk's return to wrestling for the first time in 7 years? If they don't put this in the main event, this is one of the dumbest decisions in AEW history because this is the match that everybody is going to be paying money to see this event for. CM Punk makes his return to professional wrestling, in-ring return for the first time in 7 years, his AEW debut against Darby Allin. It was back at the First Dance on August 20th. CM Punk made his return to professional wrestling in the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. He said a lot of things. He said he had old scores to settle, but he also said he wanted to verse the young talent, and at the top of his list was Darby Allin. Darby Allin was, of course, the man who cut the original promo, who said that if you want to prove yourself to be the greatest, you have to come to AEW, even if you're the best in the world. CM Punk has said that Darby Allin, if he was 15 years old, would be his favorite wrestler, and Darby Allin says when he was 15 years old, CM Punk was his favorite wrestler. So this is a lot of parallels between the two men. Both are straight edge. Both are alternative superstars in professional wrestling. So who wins this dream match here? Let's start with Steph.
CM Punk. I don't think you can have him lose in Chicago in his first match back. Yeah, CM Punk. It won't hurt Darby. He'll get a nice hug from Sting at the end. Yeah.
Agreed there. Top guy JJ.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not go into the main event and like how this is going to be the biggest thing that AEW has done pretty much all year. This is the biggest return in pro wrestling history at the moment, so this has to main event the show. Darby Allin is a great choice for Punk to really have a banger with. Like, he's going to take Punk to his absolute limit. Punk will probably have a little gas in this match, because obviously it's first time actually having a wrestling match that's probably going to go 15 to 20 minutes in over 7 years. So I see CM Punk winning, but I mean, come on, like, it's like, I mean, it's there, like, how can you not, how can you not know that this is coming? How can you not end the night with that? Like, I think after that main event, like, they're gonna get a lot this night, and I think that you close the show, man, with that crazy nuclear reaction, man, like that. I think that's just a chef's kiss on the night. I hope it happens, but never know what they're gonna do. But that's my hope right there, clearly.
Hey, and this plays into Punk saying that his dream match is to verse the Young Bucks with a certain tag team partner, a certain man who known for the Yes Movement, the Final Countdown himself, Bryan Danielson. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I see Bryan Danielson coming out after Kenny Omega defeats Christian, possibly, or maybe after Miro defeats Eddie Kingston. There's a number of different people you can see Daniel Bryan coming in, because they haven't teased anything like they did with Punk. Benno, who you got? Your boy CM Punk or Darby Allin?
I'm, happy as anyone CM Punk's coming back, but I'm going to throw some hot takes out there. I don't think this goes on last. I'm not saying it's the right decision, but I think Tony Khan likes to put his world title matches on last. I think if Daniel Bryan is coming out, he's coming out to challenge Kenny Omega, not CM Punk. Therefore, that's how you get away with putting that match on last. You put a little bit less pressure on Punk by putting him in the semi-main. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I can see what the logic might be to go that route. And the hottest take I've got, CM Punk's going to want to lose this match. I think CM Punk's going to want to put Darby over. I think they can tell a story, like Japanese wrestling style. Punk's been gone for 7 years, slips on a banana peel, he's rusty, Darby wins. I don't think that's impossible to happen. The CM Punk fan of me wants Punk to win, but if all those things line up and this isn't last and it's the semi-main and Bryan is coming out at the end for the happy ending, that's the only way you get away with that. And just a part of me that feels like they're going to do something bold like that.
If it wasn't in Chicago, I would totally agree with you, but I'm going with CM Punk, and I think this is a part of the long game, because Darby Allin, when he first came into AEW, it wasn't about him winning a championship. It was about him overcoming his first rival, which was Cody Rhodes. He went to a time limit draw with Cody. He lost to Cody twice, and then he eventually had to beat Cody to finally win his first title, the TNT Championship. The next level up for Darby Allin, this might be his first main event on an AEW pay-per-view. He's proven to be a ratings draw in AEW Dynamite. So the next level up is for him to win the AEW World Championship, but he needs that guy to be that obstacle for him. And I think that guy is going to be CM Punk. So CM Punk wins here. You have Hangman Page eventually beat Kenny Omega. You have MJF beat Hangman Page. You have CM Punk beat MJF. And then the guy to beat CM Punk for the AEW World Championship is Darby Allin. That's how you do a long form story between these two guys, because he needs that next obstacle to overcome, and that's CM Punk. But We got one more hot take, one more super chat donation here from Slam and Sammy Joe saying proud and powerful versus FTR3 in a New York street fight. Yeah, that's my main reason why.
Would absolutely love it.
That's where I think they're going to give Proud and Powerful their New York moment. Although I would love Steph's booking to be correct and it be them winning the tag team titles. I think because of the delays with this FTR feud, they're going to have the blow off in Arthur Ashe to give Proud and Powerful their New York pop moment. But yes, and Slam and Sammy Joe says the hottest match should go on last. And this is the match that's been getting the most.
Don't overthink it. Sure. It's kind of one of those things. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. You lowered the biggest return in pro wrestling history. Don't fuck it up. Just don't fuck it up. Like, literally, that's it. And AEW has a great history of not fucking it up. So I have all the confidence in the world that they're not going to fuck this up.
I don't think so either. But thank you so much for everyone for joining us live for Tru Heel Heat 141. I want to end things by, of course, showing our love and support, thoughts and prayers to the family of Daphne Unger, aka Shannon Sproul. She passed away this week. Anyone who's joining us in the live chat, anyone who's a subscriber to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, if you are ever suffering, you're feeling alone, just know that you are loved. Our wrestling community can sometimes be a lot of tribalism, a lot of arguing, a lot of complaining, but most of all, any type of community, whether it's in music, any type of genre, but wrestling especially, it's a family. So if you're ever feeling alone, Tru Heel Heat, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can message us and let us know how you're feeling. If you need someone to talk to, you never want to, have someone suffering, and check on your loved ones, because sometimes people are suffering and have a smile on their face and you want to be there for them. So our thoughts and prayers out to the family and friends of Daphne, and a huge loss in the wrestling community this week.
Well said.
Thank you. Let's close things out. I want to thank Steph and Benno, two of my favorites, absolutely two of my favorite guests. Whenever there's an AEW pay-per-view,
don't forget Daryl.
And Daryl, you two should always expect SP3 is going to hit you up about a week from that Saturday and be like, hey guys, are you available to join Tru Heel Heat? So I'm just putting it out there on air so I love when you guys are on here, especially before an AEW pay-per-view, because there's no two people in the wrestling community, in wrestling media, that I love to talk professional wrestling with. Yeah, I'm that guy right now. That's me pointing at Steph and Benno, like, I love you guys. But yes, Benno first, please let the people know. Oh, wonderful. That was wonderful. Please, Benno, please let the people know where they can find you on all your platforms and social media, sir.
Dude, firstly, absolute pleasure to be invited on again. I love this podcast. I have a great time every time. So great to talk to you guys again. Most of my stuff you can find over at GRAPPL. We do GRAPPL Spotlight every Monday night, which is similar structured show to this, where we try and cover everything going on in the world of wrestling. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/GRAPPL. And yeah, if you want my British wrestling takes, which are getting sour and sour by the day, you can find them at Post Wrestling, as Daryl is repping the hat here. Postwrestling.com, British Wrestling Experience. That's all my stuff.
Absolutely. Benno, you have one of the best Twitters, so make sure you follow Benno on Twitter machine. Follow all the podcasts, great podcast work that he does. And Steph has the best YouTube channel when it comes to AEW content. Check me out over there talking about All In, getting all emotional and nostalgic about 3 years ago being there live in Chicago. But Steph, let them know where they can find you on social media, your YouTube channel, and everything else you're doing.
Yeah, the Twitter, Stephanie M. Chase. That's the same on Instagram. YouTube, Stephanie Chase Wrestling. You can see SB3 on there. We had a great discussion about All In. Benno is on there from my All In week, talking all about CM Punk. And then yesterday, I had the man, John Pollock, on to do a preview of All Out. So everyone check that out, and I hear the thoughts of Mr. John Pollock and me as we go through the card. And yeah, subscribe, and thank you so much for having me on. I've had so much fun. I always enjoy this.
Yeah. So rock.
Comes around. It's just great to be with you too. And shout out to Miss Chrissy Love.
Yeah, Miss Chrissy Love.
Yeah, miss her boo. Miss our boo, man. Miss
show the
princess.
Woman
Chrissy.
love. This was a Tru Heel Heat Empowerrr right there. Yes, shout out to Chrissy Love. We missed her on this week. Top Guy JJ, where can they find you on social media?
Man, on Instagram, you can find me at Tru_Heel_Top Guy JJ. On the YouTube channel, you can find me here with SP3 and Miss Chrissy Love when she returns on Tru Heel Heat every single Saturday. And to quickly answer your Anthony brother, I don't see it as a spot on AEW for Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt, at the moment. Like, at all. I don't see him at all. Like, they don't have him in the cards right now, but obviously maybe in the future, but not yet. Too much going on.
I agree with Top Guy JJ there. Anthony asking, how do you think AEW books the debut of Bray Wyatt at All Out if he's going to debut? I don't think he's going to debut there. I think
There's no
It's too much. It's too much going on. Too much happening right now.
All right.
just don't. A couple more comments I just want to highlight before we go. You, my boy Blue, saying great show as usual. Much love. Can't wait for the pay-per-view. Beepity boopida, whatever. SP3 was super. Bippity boppity, excuse me, was super real just now. It came through. Slam and Sammy Joe saying great show, take care. And Jason Michael Campbell, one of our favorites, saying Stephanie will always be a favorite of mine. Like I said, I just think she's amazing. And so is Benno, so is Top Guy JJ, and you can follow me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. Of course, like this video, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. If you're watching on replay, comment down below. Let us know what you thought about this podcast. Give us your predictions for AEW All Out, and push the subscribe button if you're new and the bell to stay notified. Great content ahead on this All Out week. Later on today, we have a new episode of Dark Power reviewing this week's AEW Dark Elevation, AEW Dark, and NWA Power. Tomorrow we are going live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with True Rewind as we review Slamboree 1996. We're going back in time and going through the Lethal Lottery and the last pay-per-view before Scott Hall and Kevin Nash debut in WCW. So this is the end of an era over there. And we're going live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 a.m. in the UK for our AEW All Out Watch Along hosted by Romeo. And then on Monday, we are going live at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for our AEW All Out Roundtable review with myself, Romeo, the three-time baby-making champion Ness, and special guest from Fightful, Steven Jensen. So it's a great time to become a subscriber of the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. So for Stephanie Chase, for Benno, for Top Guy JJ, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat 141 All Out Rebrand. Steph's gonna have a party for All Out. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we are signing off until
Is that really from Coyote
next time.
Ugly?
It sure is.